Okay, we's live. Let me go hit the live button over on Amazon, and we'll get the ball rolling here in just a minute or two. Wait for the crowd to shuffle in, and let me connect my chat thing here. I think we're good on that front. I wonder if I should start doing this on Twitch also. Would that be fun to have it on Twitch and here? I could do that. I should just do that. I don't think it'd be that much of a heavy lift to get this to work on Twitch either. Maybe we'll look at doing that in the future. Because I can send to one more place, and I've got plenty of bandwidth, so maybe I should just try that and see what happens. And we're getting our crowd is coming in. Let me just get my chat thing connected here. I'm not seeing my chat show up. There they are. All right. There we go. So I will, I'm like real super casual today. It's New Year's Eve. I'm not shooting anything today. We're just doing some office hours, as they say. And I want to say hello to some folks first. We have Sangbid, I'm going to get this totally wrong, Sangbid Biswa 88. Happy New Year to you and to your family. It's a good way to start fresh. 2021 will be better than 2020, hopefully. Kaiser Kane is here, and Romeric is here, right on schedule. Always one of the first ones in. Martin is here, good to see you again. And Romeric likes my keyboard. Yeah, this is, I should have put this on the Amazon thing. Where's my, oh, here it is. This is my Logitech. These things are very inexpensive. This is the K400 Plus. You can usually get these for about 25 bucks. And this is what I use to control my video stuff. I have one of those Elgato things. I got to hook it up. But I really like this. It's super flexible, and it works really well for me. So I very much like the Logitech K400 Plus. Cheap Cigar is here. Hello. Melodical Media. Good to hear you as well and see you, or at least see your chat there. And we got somebody in from Maine as well. And what we're going to do today, everybody, is we're going to get, that's right, Zoran is here from Croatia. Good to see you. What we're going to do today is get Windows 10 running on the new MacBook. This is the M1 MacBook. And they just came up with a couple betas. First of all, there's a beta of Parallels. And so we're going to install the beta of Parallels on this MacBook. Now, this is the MacBook with the M1 chip, the new Apple chip. And it will run the ARM version of Windows. But that version of Windows can emulate Intel Windows software. Now, this is going to be different than This will be different than Boot Camp in that we're not going to boot the Mac up into it. We are simply going to be running a virtual machine. So you can't boot camp into Windows yet, but I'm sure at some point that'll happen. And this is happening because Parallels has a beta that supports this, and Microsoft, if you sign up for the Windows Insider thing, Microsoft will allow you to download an ARM version of Windows to install in the virtual machine. So that is how we're going to do it today. Got some more chats coming in that we'll try to answer before we get started here. So I'm going to totally mess this up, but I'm going to say Kubabe wants to know, how do I stream so good? You know, it's just a matter of, I don't think I stream that great, but it's a matter of good lighting, I think makes a big difference. And I think having multi-camera switching is a big deal because you can switch the view up, right? So this is the same setup I have when I'm doing my regular videos. And today we've only got 3 inputs coming in. I'm using vMix, that's the software I use. So we have my main camera, we have camera 2, and then the third camera is going to be my Mac desktop, which is currently mirrored here. And for hardware today, we've got the MacBook Air with the M1 chip. This has become my daily driver. I really like it quite a bit. I've got a Samsung X5 Thunderbolt drive that we're going to put everything on. And that's plugged into the Thunderbolt port. And then I just got this new, this is going to be a review you'll see tomorrow night. This is a new Thunderbolt 3 and 4 dock from OWC, and I bought this a couple weeks ago, and it came in right before Christmas. And it is essentially a Thunderbolt dock. So you plug in one cable, and you get power to your laptop, and then you get 3 Thunderbolt ports. Now they share the bandwidth, but if you're hooking up video like I'm doing here, so I've got video out with this one. I've got an Ethernet device plugged in here. Both of these are USB-C devices, but they work with this also. And then I could have plugged the hard drive in here, but I have a port free, so I figured I'd plug it into the laptop directly. So that is what we got here. So let me take a few more questions, and then we'll get into the installation here and get moving. By the way, if you're watching on Amazon, you can leave me a chat, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have as we're going through this. So Zoran bought the keyboard that I'm using. It's a good keyboard. Not, it's inexpensive, as Martin says. They're awesome and indestructible. Yeah, I've got a couple of these, actually. I love it. I mean, it's not, going to replace your fancy mechanical gaming keyboard, but for cost and flexibility, it's great. I love it. I've been using these for a while now. Nathaniel, Happy New Year to you. Jack says those bezels aren't that big. Yeah, so, and maybe you all can help as we're going through here, because what I'm doing is mirroring the display output from here. So this resolution and aspect ratio is on the native display is not as wide as 16:9 is. So when we're on the mirrored screen, which we'll be spending a lot of time on as we're streaming today, this fills up your window, but when I'm mirroring, it's going to reduce the aspect ratio to or stretch it out to 16:9. So yeah, the bezels are not as bad here. I get that a lot on these. But the bezels on the MacBook, here I can show you what it really looks like. So we'll turn mirroring off for a second here. Now watch how fast it does this. So we're on, if I go to arrangement here and I click mirror, watch this. Boom, just like that. So that is what it looks like usually. And then when I mirror, you can see, look how fast this is. Like there's no blanking. It just goes. Here, well, I'll switch over to the other screen. Watch it on the other screen here. Ready? Boom, boom. That's it. There's like, it just does it. That's one of the little optimizations that you notice with this thing is it just goes that quick. It's pretty wild. The Node is here. Hello, Mr. Node. Dennis Black says, I'm excited to see Windows on the M1. Me too. Hopefully it works. Melodical says, I just saved up enough to get a MacBook Pro. Should I get the M1 Air or Pro? I've been running the Air. Now here's the thing about the differences here between the Air and the Pro. I bought kind of the souped up Air. So the processor and RAM on this, I've got the M1 with the 8-core GPU, and there's also a 7-core GPU that's not as fast apparently, but that's an option. But I basically configured this one the same way I would configure the MacBook Pro. And I would say the big difference between this one and the Pro is that the Pro, I think, has the touch bar. So if you like that, you get that with the Pro. You don't get that with the Air. And the Pro also has active cooling, which means it has a fan. So the best thing that I could give you an example on is when I am outputting my video to upload to the YouTube channel, I will see it kind of goes pretty quick, and then it'll kind of level off and slow down a bit at the halfway mark. And that's because the only way this thing can cool itself down is to slow itself down. But I don't notice the throttling typically when I'm just using the computer. So I would say that if you're doing a lot of video rendering and things that are really stressing the computer out for a length of time, then I would go with the Pro because it will likely not throttle at all or as much as the Air will. However, in the course of what I do with it, the only time I ever notice a performance drop-off is when I'm rendering out the video to upload. That's the only time I've ever seen any real performance issues. So I think the touch bar, if that's important to you, that's a reason to go with the other one. I think, again, if you're really pushing things, then that might be the way to go. Hash here wishes everyone a Happy New Year. And we got, I know this guy, changed his name. hello to you. Mark H says it's still morning where he is. It's past noon where the node is. Here it is 1:42 p.m. Sudip wants to know, can we boot camp on M1 chip? Not yet, although I would imagine at some point you will. But remember, you're going to boot camp into some kind of ARM operating system, whether it's Linux or Windows, but not the Intel version of Windows, because it doesn't run Intel natively. Hot Sauce is here. Richard Barnett is here. We'll get started in a second here, everybody. Jordan Gibby says, have I ever edited in DaVinci Resolve? No, I haven't. And you know what's funny is I've been meaning to try it, but you know, I've become such a creature of habit in that I have Final Cut Pro. That's what I have the Mac for. It works great. I've had no issues with it. I really like it. And I've like dived into DaVinci and I'm like, oh, I got to learn something else. And my editing isn't all that complicated, but I just haven't had the time to really experiment with it. I would like to, because I could build faster PCs for less money than what I'm paying for on the Mac. And you know, my big workflow change this year was switching. I'm going to do a video on this. My big workflow change this year was switching from the TriCaster to vMix. So that was a big deal for me. And when I made that switch, I built a PC for that purpose. So I have an i9 PC that runs the channel now. And it works every bit as good, if not better, than my TriCaster. And it cost me a third of the price. So that was the big workflow thing for this year. And Ahmed here thanks me for the aspect ratio. And Gail Lewis, Happy New Year to you. So proud that I am from Connecticut. Connecticut's a great place to be. I love it here. And I'm looking forward to building my business here in the coming year. Hopefully we can all recover well here. Vaccines are getting out. I'm optimistic. And you know what's funny is that everyone had this state written off, and now everybody wants to live here because all the New Yorkers are leaving the city and coming back here. The housing market where I live is crazy right now. But I'm not moving. I got too much stuff. Zoran, I don't know if you saw my review of this, but I did cover the iOS apps a little bit, and you're right. They run fine, but they're designed for touchscreens, and so you run into some real interface issues because there's no touchscreen on the Mac, obviously. Dirk says that there are some delays if you try to custom configure. Yeah, so I think if you want the best performance and you can't wait, then the MacBook Pro is probably the one to get. So that is something to take a thought about. Abdel Madani says, what's the best mini PC? Well, it depends what best is. Is it price or performance? I like the Pepper Jobs one that I looked at a while back. It's not that expensive. It's got the Gemini Lake, so it's not the super powerful computer, but it doesn't throttle. It's actually got very good thermals. I liked how they designed that one. Eurosaurus says, thank you for the channel. Will this take full advantage of my great fiber bandwidth? Yes. If you have a Thunderbolt, so you got to plug in for my connection, a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapter. And upstairs I have a Thunderbolt 10 gig adapter, and this definitely makes use of it. So today, right now, we've got the Ethernet attached, but we're only running, this is only gigabit, but that's all we really need for this, because we're just going to maybe download a drive, a disk image in a little bit. Digital Fortress says, any known performance difference when using high-end graphics processing? I think, again, the only area where the Air would be slower would be if you went with the 7-core Air GPU. If you go with the 8-core GPU on the Air, it's the same chip as the Pro. But again, the difference is that this is passively cooled, whereas the Pro is actively cooled. So if you're really pushing data constantly to that GPU, you'll do better with the Pro because it will have a fan to cool itself off versus this with no fan. Mark Davis says, hello from Hong Kong. Hello to you. We have people from all over the world here. Cervantes here is from Mexico, or Cervantes. Somebody wants to know, has anyone called me Lon, AJ wants to know, has anyone called me Lon Ranch? No, never happened. Thank you, Cervantes, for being a big fan. Mozboy76, happy New Year's to you. And if you were born in 76, it's a great year. That was the year that I was born. 76ers. And Mark is in Hong Kong, as he mentioned. You guys can call me whatever you want. As long as it is family friendly, I'm okay with it. If you have M1, can you boot camp? No, cannot boot camp on Windows ARM. We're going to do it on Parallels, and that's what we're going to be doing in a few minutes. Digital Fortress wants to know, do I edit? I edit on the Mac, on this Mac, yes. In fact, the last, a bunch of videos that I have recently posted were all edited on here. But one thing to know about my editing workflow is that I have a very simple workflow because what I use to stream here, which is my PC, is exactly the same workflow that I use when I do a recorded video. So right now I hit the key to stream versus the key to record, but I could record just as easily right now. So when I'm done with my videos from the shooting standpoint, usually I just have a bunch of preset clips that I just kind of string together. But this thing does really well with that. Zoran says, yeah, we're up to 293,000. We're almost there. We're getting there. Thank you, Adele. Digital Fortress says that there's a 1-month delivery time for anything higher than the... Yeah, I think what's happened is now that the word got out that these things are like the real deal, everybody wants one. So that's certainly become a supply constraint. We've got quite a lot of folks here from all over the world. Leilach Lamperouge 235 is from the Czech Republic. Hello. Got a super chat from my friend Chris Allegretta. Chris, how are you? By the way, if you ever run an open source app called Nano on your Mac, it's on every Mac, Chris is the guy that brought it there. So hello, Chris. Any chance we'll get a Cubes OS video in 2021? Maybe, perhaps. Maybe we should collab on that. Why don't you email me? Maybe I'll bring you on and you can show me how to do it. Because I'd love to try something new, absolutely. And if it's coming along, 'cause I think the last time we talked about it, it was really rough. But if it's coming along, maybe we'll do something about it in the coming year. So send me an email. Let's see if we can come up with something. The Justice81, greetings from London. And then we have Joseph from California. And we've got Nick from the UK. AJ said it's a farm from Zelda. Ah, I play Zelda. I don't remember that farm. I'll have to go and find it again. Joe is here from North Carolina. The Mac Mini is delayed as well. Yeah, they've got some constraints right now. Everybody wants the M1 chip because it's the real deal. What's funny is I pre-ordered this the night you could do it. And I got it right when it came out. And I was glad I did because I had a feeling this was going to be a nice computer. And I'm very happy with it. And now I want like a 16-inch MacBook Pro with a faster one. Vishmal is from India. Hello to you. Grayson Petty with the super chat. Thank you very much. And oh, it's from Ocarina of Time. That's the one I haven't played. That's why I didn't know that reference. I did play the most recent one. Samesh is here from India. We've got Grayson calling in from Florida. Thank you for the super chat. And you know what's funny, Manuel? I did not have a nickname when I was a kid. My grandmother called me Lonnie, but that's about it. And I think what happens is that when you have like a really short name, you often don't get a nickname because your name's so short already. And that's my name. It's not short for anything. It's just Lon. My mom looked it up in a name book and wanted something unique. So that was how she came up with it. And Samesh says, I deserve more views and subscribers. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, well, you know, it takes time. You got to work for it. You know, one of the things that I think people get confused about is that, or think that, oh, you should just get all these views all of a sudden. But it takes a lot of time to build up an audience. And it's hard because, you know, there's so many people doing this kind of content. Like if you go and look for MacBook Air M1 review, I'll probably be on page like 5 or 6 of the search results. I haven't looked for it lately. But you get the idea, right? So, you know, it's just, it's hard to start now. If I had started 8 or 9 years ago, maybe I did start 8 or 9 years ago. If I had started maybe 10 years ago, it probably would have be at a higher spot right now because there would have been fewer people doing this. George Gomez is here from LA. Grayson wants that M1 Mac Mini. Place your orders, get them in there. Digital Fortress, if anyone uses Cardano technology like Daedalus Crypto, it runs great on the Mac. Yeah, you know what's been interesting about this is that this thing runs some Intel software better than my Intel Macs run it. So I was very surprised with the Plex server on this thing because it was so much better than the Plex server on the Intel Mac, like crazy better. But it wasn't even a native ARM app. It was an Intel app running better on the ARM processor than it did on Intel. Another example was Rocket League. It was running the Intel Mac version of Rocket League better than the MacBook Air Intel runs the same game. And it's because of how Apple has mapped the instructions to the ARM architecture. So it's doing this translation layer that works really well. Ed H., Happy New Year to you. And we have a little spoiler alert here from Florin about how well Windows runs on the M1. So cool, we're gonna install it in just a minute here. Thomas named all his kids with short names so they couldn't have nicknames. There's a funny Saturday Night Live skit about people with weird, oops, I was me, I hit the wrong key. People with weird names, and they come to deliver a package, and they say, is Mr. Azwupe here? You can look it up, it's funny. So Paul wants to know, who is my favorite? I have a lot of favorite YouTubers. I don't follow Unbox Therapy, but I do follow Marcus Brownlee. I do watch some of his videos. I actually met him about 5 or 6 years ago at a phone unveiling, and he was still in college when I was talking to him. And you know what was funny was, you know, I'd asked him, because I was curious, because my subscriber to view percentage has always been a bit different than other channels. So for example, 20% of my viewership are subscribers, 80% are not. And that's always been the case for me. And I asked him, like, what's your subscriber ratio? He goes, I'm about 90% subscriber. Isn't that interesting? So that kind of informed my strategy on that. Trap Exit says, have I ever considered looking at non-RAID storage technology? Stable Bits Drive Pool on Win? I haven't. Why don't you email me? I'll take a look at it. I'm always looking for things to talk about. We are going to do something on SyncThing soon. I've been running that because I've stopped using Dropbox. So I'm going to do a video on SyncThing soon. But I'm always looking for other technologies out there too. And Brian's got some good stuff. He's got the LG OLED and the Mac Mini M1. And he's got the NVIDIA Shield since its inception. Me too. I'm running the same Shield upstairs that I got in 2015 on the bedroom TV. It works great. Oh, says that merge RFS with snap rate is incredible. I got to try all this stuff out. There's so many cool things out there I just haven't had time to play with. Grayson says, one day when I have a job, I'm currently enrolled in Cisco Academy from National Industries for the Blind. I'm trying to get a job in IT this year. But no one wants that. You know, somebody should hire Grayson here. He's got his CompTIA. He's going to Cisco Academy, Network Plus, and Security Plus. We're going to help find you a job. Why don't you email me? We'll find out some way we can get some people going there. Edward Say wants to know, am I using the A10 Mini Pro? Well, I have it and I use it on occasion. It's a tool in my toolbox that I use. I have recommended the A10 to a lot of friends that were looking to. I have a lot of friends that do religious, institution streaming for their churches and synagogues and stuff, and I've been having all of them buy A10 Minis. And we got one for the local synagogue here, and they're actually using it with Zoom. It's been working just magnificently. So I use my vMix system for my live streams here in the studio. But if I'm ever remote, it will definitely be the A10 Mini Pro. It's a great device. All right. So let's get moving here. Oh, Owen wants to know if I'm ever going to cover. I got to play with this because I heard that it's working with Dolby Vision, and I got to figure out how to get a couple of my movies re-ripped with it. So that's on the docket. I have to come up with a. So Plex, as you all know, sponsors the channel, so I come up with a video once a month on that. So that might be the topic of the next one is Dolby Vision, because I haven't tried that yet. Okay, yeah, let's get Grayson Petty a job. He's got some good qualifications. And he's working hard, and especially during the pandemic, IT professionals, I think, are still in demand, even more so now. All right, so we're going to get going here, everybody, and get Windows installed. I'll take your questions as we go. If I miss your question, re-ask, okay? Because I'm going to be, my chat goes really quick here. So let me take a couple more. Paul says, what am I, the Ring drone, he's asking about the Ring drone. I think that's kind of a neat idea. So I may try to get one of those if it comes out. I'm not sure about what car services they have. My car has a built-in security thing, so I don't need it. The Teslas have some cool stuff built in. It's got its own little security camera system. Brittany was saying she couldn't get ATSC 3.0 to work on the older Shield. I have not heard about that. it should work because I can't see why it wouldn't. I need to look into this. You know, the problem is I haven't been able to do much with anything with ATSC 3.0 because I don't have it coming in here yet. So I've been waiting for some of the Long Island stations to start broadcasting it because my dad has a place near the water and I can pick up those stations. So I was going to maybe reach out to them and get a tuner in and see where it goes. Abdullah says the best purchase of the decade is the M1 MacBook Pro. I can't tell you how happy I am with the MacBook. So that's it. All right, we're working on Grayson, getting him some gainful employment. He's down in Florida, but he wants to move somewhere in the Northeast. Like, I think Boston would be a good fit for Grayson. A lot of young people. New York City's great too, but I think there's a lot of active tech, startup tech companies in Boston, and there are some actually. You know what, Grayson? Why don't you email me because my brother-in-law is in the startup crowd out in Boston, so that might be a helpful thing. Why don't you send me an email, Lon@Lon.TV, and I will introduce you to my brother-in-law. All right. Oh, Brittany, yes. So the audio, I heard something about this, that some of the, here, I'll pull your comment up here. Some of the issues have been related to AC4, which is apparently what some of these broadcasters are using. And it might be that the old Shield doesn't support AC4. That's possible. So that might be worth looking at. Chris says the Boston's not bad, but the T is a disaster. You know, it's funny, I don't do it. I spend most of my time in New York City, and the subway has gotten better in New York City from when it was when I was a kid. There's like no graffiti in them at all. Now the pandemic is happening, they actually clean them, which is even better. So, very good stuff. All right, let's get moving here. I want to get the ball rolling. I told my wife I was going to take a shortened day today. So we're going to go ahead and install this. Now, here's the deal. You got to go and grab the Parallels beta from their website. So the Parallels we're installing is the one that's designed for the M1 Mac. So we're going to go ahead and install this. And you have to sign up for their trial program. And there is a, they'll give you a beta code when you do that. Oh, Hot Sauce has got a COVID infection. He's on day 4. I'm hoping you're doing okay there. Let's everyone send our best wishes to Hot Sauce on that. And given all the hot sauce that you produce, I don't think anything can survive a good bout of some decent hot sauce. But our best wishes to you on getting through it. The good news is once you get through it, you'll have immunity. I still don't know if I had it from my CES trip last year. So I'm still in the dark as to whether or not I had it. But I hope you feel better. Yeah, traffic says, yes, that's true. They clean the cars. They have started cleaning the cars, but not the stations. Yeah. There's a level of grime that you encounter there. But the subway is great. It generally runs on time, at least in my experience, the subways that I take. Because for a while I was a little nervous about doing the subway, but I was going to say, they take, you can now use your Apple Watch. So I don't have like one of those I have a Metro card, but I started using on some of the stations, they can take your Apple Watch. So you don't have to go and get a Metro pass. You just walk up to the thing with your watch and just dings you for $2.50 and you get on the train. I guess if you have a Metro card, if you buy multiple trips, you can save a little bit. But it's been getting better, the subway. But of course, I haven't been to the city since last year now, geez. All right. Oh, what non-rev guy wants to know, did I switch back to this keyboard from? No, the Lenovo one I use on the computers that we're playing with. This one actually controls my video system. This is the one that always works. That's always attached to that one essentially. And the batteries on these things last forever. This thing, I think I changed the batteries once in 5 years on this, just to give you an idea of that. Okay, so let's take a look at what it says on screen here. Let me actually record this for B-roll. So let me just set up a directory here for that. I'm going to make a new folder, and we're going to call this Parallels M1. All right. So I'm just going to start recording here a little bit. And what it says here is that your Mac computer is powered by the Apple M1 chip. Existing virtual machines created on Intel-based Mac computers cannot work with Macs on the M1 chip. It is not possible to create a new virtual machine using an Intel x86-based operating system installer. On such Mac computers, Parallels uses a new virtualization engine. To create a virtual machine, you need a VHDX or ISO image with an ARM-based operating system. So if we have time, maybe we'll play around with a Linux one as well. All right, so that's the warning there. I think I'm going to just label this clip real quick, because this will be useful, because I know I'm going to get questions from people about whether or not you could just take your old Parallels image and put it in there. All right, so let's zoom out here and continue. Okay, so it found my installation image already. So I have already downloaded this. Now to do this, you have to join the Windows Insider program with your Microsoft account. And when you do that, and I'll put links up on the final video for this, they'll give you a link to a drive image of the Windows install. And this is like a 7 gig file, so it's a little big, so just be ready for that. But we're going to create here off of that, and it's going to go ahead and create that. Now I was hoping I could put it on the Thunderbolt drive that I've got here, but it looks like it's just going to put it wherever it wants. I guess probably in my documents folder. I probably should have seen if there was a better way to move it. I could probably just move the file afterward. So, wow, Jesse Cherrier is on COVID day 10. My goodness, I hope you all feel better. So for anyone suffering through COVID, please send your best wishes to, first of all, let us know in the chat if you have it, and I will ask everyone to spread some goodwill to everybody else. All right, so now I got to jump out of here for a second and log into my accounts with Parallels. So you have to sign up for a Parallels account, and you need to sign up with a Microsoft Insider account. And now what it's asking me for is it wants me to activate my Parallels version here. And prior to starting the video, when you download the Parallels application, you'll get a code for that. So that is what you'll get. So give me 1 second here. Let me just install part 1, to install part 2, serial key. Okay. I'm just putting, what I'm trying to do, so in the video that I'm going to record later, I'm going to do a step-by-step. So we're going to kind of install it today just to get a feel for how it works. Now I have my code already, so I'm just going to copy and paste this into the thing here and activate the software. Okay, so now we have been successfully activated. And I'm just going to leave it here for a second. Okay, so I'm just recording some B-roll. You probably all just saw my code there, but it doesn't matter. It's just beta software. Okay, so now we're going to, it wants access to the camera. It wants access to the microphone. And now it's going to configure Windows 10 here. And we'll just kind of let it go. It looks like it's doing most of this on autopilot here. I haven't had to really configure much. I was reading, I think 9to5 Mac has a pretty good guide. It was indicating that you want to bump up the number of cores that it uses, so we'll look at that in a little bit. But yeah, there you go. All right, so we'll let that kind of run its course. So Dom wants to know, could I install Android on this? I would assume you could if there is a bootable, here, let me put this up on our screen here. If there's a bootable version of Android, I'm pretty sure you could do that. Grayson says 7 gigs is nothing compared to 2 terabytes. Yeah, that'll take up some space there. So Jesse says that his symptoms have been tired, nausea, and light congestion. Yeah, I had a similar, so, and in case I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but what happened in my case was I went to CES right when this thing started spreading all over the place. There was an article on American Public Radio about CES being one of the super spreader events. I came back, so I got there like Sunday night, and I came back like 1 o'clock in the morning Friday. So basically came back on Thursday. So I was there Sunday through Thursday. And I got back, and when I got home, I had 103.5 fever, and I had that for 5 or 6 days. And I had a little bit of like, tummy issues, it wasn't like unbearable, but it was not something I usually get, it wasn't like a flu kind of thing. And we had all this weird stuff happen afterward because there was a kid, my wife had a party the day after I got back, and one of the kids that was at the party, even though I wasn't around people, like got sick a couple days later. His family got it. My daughter's teacher got sick. Her kids got sick. It just kind of started spreading all over the place within our little circle. But it took me a good week and a half to get back on my feet. And I took a couple of antibody tests, but I didn't take them until 4 or 5 months after this, whatever this was. So I have no idea. But I think it's going to be, even though, and the worst part is now that the vaccines are available, I think we're going to get the worst of it now because you have people back indoors, and it looks like, whatever this new variant is, it's a little bit more infectious, so it's easier spread. And when you compound that with people being inside more, I think that's why it's going to be, I think, a rough couple of months here. But my father's down in Florida, and they're vaccinating anyone over 65 right now. All right, here we go. First boot. That was quick. And there's some other stuff that we have to do after it boots up here. Chris in the Amazon chat says, that poor Mac putting Windows on it. Oh, Thomas Amfang says it's new public domain. That's right. So which ones are coming into the public domain? Let me know. I'm curious about what's happening. So Brand says the new strain is 70% more infectious. That's quite a bit. I wasn't aware it was that much. I think what they were saying, I was reading something related to that. Oh, I even knew my username when I popped in there. I was reading something that said that part of the reason for the higher infectious rate, 53, 54, 55, was that it seems like the younger children are getting it more with this strain than they were with the other one, which is why they said the death rate hasn't increased, but the infection rate has. So whatever advantage kids had in not contracting it kind of went away with this variant. So that's what I mean. It's going to be, people just need to and it's going to be hard for people because we've been locked down for so long, but you got to stick with it because we're almost done. It's just like another couple of months just to get the vaccine out at scale. So I think by the spring you can see it. I think we'll turn the corner by the spring. But it's not going to be like turned off. I think you're going to be, it's going to be like a storm passing, right? It's still going to be flaring up, and it's not going to be like, oh, we're done. Like yesterday we had it, today we don't. It's not going to be like that. So I think you're going to be masked easily for the next year. All right, so it looks like we are up and running here. Now, what is likely going to happen next is we're going to see the Parallels drivers install. So I'll kind of zoom in the screen here. You can see how low resolution it is, right? So what's happening now is it's going through all of the driver installation. And then it'll probably ask to reboot. Maybe not. So let me see if we have anything from Parallels running here. No, it doesn't have anything. So I wonder if I can make this a bigger. Yeah, see that it didn't change the resolution. So let me check and see if it has a. So I've been using VMware mostly, so that's my. Okay, this is the Mac app. So it's got my iCloud mounted. That's pretty crazy. It sees the Thunderbolt drive too. That's pretty cool. All right, so it looks as though it's installed. I'm going to do a reboot just for the heck of it, and let's see what happens. But this actually was a lot easier than I thought. So Clayman says, what I've read, the main vaccination should work. Yeah, so the mutation, like these mutations are not as, like the mutations are they happen quickly, but you have to have an enormous scale of mutation for the vaccines not to work. But you might see over time, over the long haul, that whatever works with this vaccine today, in a number of years, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, may not be as effective. But I think it's always a game of cat and mouse with this stuff, and I think the advantage that we have now. What was that? Oops. Switch to coherence. Oh, look at that. That's right. I forgot about coherence mode. All right, we'll look at that in a minute. The advantage that we have now with these vaccines is that they can be developed at scale a lot quicker. All right, here we are, Windows Desktop. That was pretty easy. Now, you know what I'm going to do? I hate to do this, but I'm going to shut it down again because I want to go in and look at the configuration options that we have. But the mRNA vaccine can be reproduced much faster. You can manufacture it quicker. And so that's going to give us, I think, a pretty big advantage. But remember, Mother Nature is often better at this stuff than we are, so it will adapt. But we can adapt quicker now. And that's what's exciting about what's happened here. And there's actually a lot of potential for cancer treatments with this also. All right, so let's take a look here and see what we've got. And by the way, with all this speculation about whether you need a passport or this or that, I think it's important not to speculate until we know exactly what's going on with it. I have a feeling it's going to be, it'll be more nuanced like everything has been. And this is what I've been saying to people too. It's like, so I'm on the local school board here. You make decisions based on what you know. And when it's not safe to open schools because you have a lot of cases in the school, and you're not on top of it, then you close because it's not safe. And then when you get on top of it and you give it some time for things to kind of fizzle out, you go back in, and that's kind of how it has to be. I think everyone just tries to make all these things about absolutes, and you're not going to get there with absolutes. All right, what I'm looking for here is the hardware. Okay, so right now, so let me go and record real quick here. So right now I have 2 cores configured. I'm going to bump this up to 4. Now my Mac has 8 gigs of RAM, so I'm going to bump it to around 8 here, kind of at the limit, because I have plenty of RAM and I'm not running anything else. So that is what we're going to do here. Got some comments coming in on Amazon. Mark says this ends up being a crippled version of an already crippled OS. Yeah, one of the things that I think, okay, graphics memory, leave that on auto. One of the things that I think is an issue with Microsoft, I talked about this in my end of year prediction video I did the other day, is that you know, Apple controls the stack, right? So Apple makes the hardware. They make the computer, they make the chip inside the computer, and they make the operating system. So Apple can say, we're done with this processor architecture, and we're going to move to something else. Now, on the Windows side, Microsoft said we need an ARM solution. So Microsoft has prepped their operating system. It hasn't developed as quickly as I think people thought it would. But without a chip and a computer, they don't have any, you know what I mean? Like they can't decide we're leaving Intel to go to ARM. So the ARM machines that we've seen have not performed all that well because there's not a push behind it to make it, you know, to make it like what Apple's done here. And so what I found, because I've tested a number of these, I've tested 2 now of the ARM-based Windows machines. And the battery life is there, but the performance is not there. And that's been a big problem with these. Because it just doesn't, it performs like a cheap computer, but they're asking top dollar for them. On the Mac side, it performs better than the more expensive Intel computers, and I think that's a big deal. IMHO. And you know what was really intriguing to me or interesting about this setup process was that I didn't have to log into my like it was all ready to go when I downloaded the drive image. Now what'll happen here, you can see that it's already dialing in the display properties correctly, so that's good. So yeah, we're at 1080p. So that's working. Now the next thing we need to do is we have to set up the x64 emulation support. So we're going to need to go and do something else here. I have to type in Insider into the search bar here. Oops, Insider. So I think it's under the Advanced Windows Update options here. And we need to go, I have to go to Diagnostic and Feedback Settings. Okay, here it is, down here, Windows Insider Program. Okay. Oh, so now I have to link the account. Oh, that's interesting. So it wasn't linked initially. So I'm just going to do a quick record here. Because what we have to do now is install the beta of the, they have a beta for the, whatchamacallit, for the x64 support, so we can run Intel software. And so I got to log into my Microsoft account real quick here. You know, it's funny because it had my account on there before. Oh, I need the internet, so I got to connect to the Wi-Fi, to the, oh, that's intriguing. It didn't pick up my network card. There we go. Let's say properties. Huh. You know what's funny is it didn't connect my Ethernet adapter. So let me change adapter options here. Hang on, bear with me, folks. We just got to figure out why it's not working here. Yeah, it's on DHCP. So I'm going to shut this Parallels thing down one more time. And I need to get the network connected. So bear with me there. So, and you know what's funny? There's been some discussion too about this whole Intel thing. Like, can Intel survive this onslaught of Apple's new chip? And I think it all comes down to market share. If Apple, first of all, can make enough of these, and if they can pick up 2 or 3 points of market share, and I'm not talking about in use, because there was I had a debate with somebody on Twitter about this. It's not about in use. It is about sales. That's the whole ball game, is the sales side of things. Yeah, give me a second. You know what's funny? It didn't pick up my Ethernet adapter here. And I think it was because I have my Wi-Fi turned off right now. So that might be why. So I'm pointing it at my Ethernet adapter. And I'm going to have it work as a bridge thing. Yeah, it was not working for some reason. All right, let's try booting it up again and see what happens. So if Apple starts making some strides in picking up market share, I think you'll see more pressure on Intel. But if their market share for new PC sales, if the market share doesn't change, I don't think you're going to see that big of a difference, at least initially. I think it's going to push the industry in a direction. I think people are going to want computers with what the Mac is doing. I think what Apple needs to do in the next round of these things is, first of all, make the really powerful ones. Yeah, I still don't have network here. Unidentified network. Let me see what's going on here. Yes, we're having some networking problems. I had to disconnect and reconnect Ethernet, and then it came back like magic. So let's go in and look at the network settings here. Let's switch to a shared network and see if that gets us an IP address. Because that's the one thing that is not working yet. Oh, we're up. Okay. Yeah, that worked. I just had to switch it back and forth, and that seemed to get us going. Okay. So let's go back to that Windows Insider thing. So Digital Fortress wants to know, how do I switch back and forth so quickly? So what I am using is, that's, by the way, Mark told us about the switching back and forth. I am using vMix, which is the same software I use to record. And it runs on a PC just like OBS does, but it's a lot quicker. And what I've got on the Mac, so this is a Thunderbolt hub. I've got an HDMI output on this thing, and it's going to an NDI box. So I use a lot of NDI here in the studio just because it's easier. If I can bring something in over the network versus futzing around with HDMI cables, I do that. The Mac screen here is mirrored from this Mac, and I've got an NDI box running over the network into here. NDI is, if you haven't played with it, is an amazing technology. And a lot of what I do, so my main cameras here are all running with HDMI into the computer that I built. But anything else that comes in, whether it's the computers, there's an NDI desktop scan converter, which basically takes your whole desktop and just shoots it over the network. I'm not doing that right now because they don't have an M1 optimized version of it yet, but they have one for Windows and the Intel Macs. Works great. They have an app for the iPhone and the iPad that will mirror the screen over NDI as well, just over your Wi-Fi. They have a camera app for the iPhone that gives you a camera over NDI. It's just it's an amazing technology. David Sherman says, can you put all that as a link? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm guessing maybe the vMix thing. If you go to vmix.com, you can find the vMix software. It's really, really good stuff. All right, let me go look for Windows Insider again here. All right, and I need to link my account to Windows Insider, and I'm going to log in with my Microsoft account. Okay, bear with me for a second here. It says Microsoft account doesn't exist. Oh, that's right, I changed my account. Oh, nope. Hang on a second. I forgot my Microsoft account info. I got to find it here. Hang on a second. Bear with me, everybody. All right, let me pull up my Microsoft account information here. I wonder why that's not my account name. Ah, that's what it is. Okay, hang on. There we go. And I need to get my password. And then we got to do the two-factor authentication. All sorts of fun stuff. The good news is, so far, it seems to be working here. So that's a good thing. All right, so now I need to go pull up this number, and we'll put that in. Okay, so that is going. So now we've got the Windows Insider attached, And we need to go to Diagnostic and Feedback Settings. So let me find that now. Okay, here they are. And we have to go down to Optional Diagnostic Data. Why do we have to do this? We have to do this because this is where you get the x86 emulator. So we're going to turn this on. Actually, let me go back to record this. We're going to turn this on, and then we need to click a link a Windows Insider account. Okay, so where do we do that? I wonder if I did something out of order here. So we have to click and turn on Optional Diagnostic Data, and then click Link a Windows Insider account. I think I might have already done that because, all right, so we did that part. And now we need to go into the Windows Update, and we should now see more stuff. Yep, I think this is it, because it's going to be a cumulative update for Windows 10 version next. And that's going to get us the emulator, I think. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm told. And they'll probably have to do a reboot on this one after it's done. All right, so now it's installing the update, and then we'll probably have a reboot, and we'll be good to go. Now, when this is done, apparently we can do the 64-bit emulation, but not the 32-bit, from what I'm told, or from what I've read. Mark Dell says, I assume he has passwords on a Post-it note. Yes, right next to the monitor. I'll put them all out on the stream so you can all see it. All right, we're installing. And we should be done here in a second. Now, we will look, we'll run some, we'll see what we can run on it. I don't even know what's going to even run on this when it's done. I don't expect it to run better than a Windows ARM machine would run it. And the reason is that we're running it as a VM and not as a native boot. So we'll have to see what it does. But I would not expect in this early stage for it to work very well, but we'll see. Mike Benzer says, do you need LastPass? I do have LastPass. I use LastPass quite a bit. And I like LastPass. That's my favorite thing, my favorite password thing. So that's what I've been using. All right, so we need to restart now. A very familiar activity on Windows, right? And we'll go ahead and let this do its thing. Working on updates. And we'll let it reboot. Okay, we are back. So, why don't we, you know what's funny is that it's got the old version of Edge, not the new Chrome one on there. And it looks like we've got the networking issue again, so we're going to go back to our network and turn it off and turn it back on again, as Mark suggested we do. And that should get our network back. Yep, there it is. Off and on. Okay. Donnie wants to know, what are we using to insert the YouTube comments? This is through vMix. They have a really cool feature called vMix Social, and it links up with the YouTube API, and it just grabs everybody's chats. The only thing it doesn't see are super stickers. So it sees the comments and the super chats, but not super stickers. and then it links up over its API. And then on my little computer here, I've got my little Windows laptop here, and vMix Social has a little web server that runs on my vMix machine. And what I do if I want to put a comment up, so for example, if I want to grab Grayson's comment here, watch this, I'll click send, and it will change it to Grayson's thing. It's a really neat thing. David Sherman wants to know, how do you spell it? V-M-I-X, vMix. V as in Victor, M as in Mary, I-X. So that is what we're using there. Okay, so now, why don't we install Steam? Why not? Let's try that first. And we'll just click install here and see what happens. I don't have high hopes for this, but I did read in an article that some of this stuff is able to run. And so far, it's actually looking like it can install. Let's go full screen. I hit the wrong button again. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, so the other thing is that there is a mode in Parallels. They've had this for a while now, where it will make it look like it's running as a Mac app, and you even get like the little icons down there. But it can get confusing, especially if you've got things installed on both there. So that's with the blue one here. So if you hit the green one, it goes full screen. So we'll go ahead here and just install the English version. Now this is a 32-bit application, so it looks like it might actually run okay. We'll find out here when it boots up. And right now it's just downloading the update to Steam. And let me know how that screen looks to all of you on the stream. I might put the scaling up a little bit. But we'll let that install. And NetLux says I should check out Mimo Live. I used back when they called it Lon.TV, I had used that a bit. And I think the Intel hardware wasn't quite there yet, but now I think it might be worth looking at. And Clay says that streaming software, yeah, I am. So here's what, this is a very relevant comment, because everyone was telling me, you got to check out vMix, and I was resistant because I said, how could it be better or equal to the TriCaster? Because it just runs on native hardware, but it is. I mean, it's as good as my TriCaster was. I think if you are a larger operation, you'll want something more beefy, but this is doing actually more than what my TriCaster was doing before, so I've been really happy with it. All right, bear with me, folks. I just got to get my Steam Guard thing going here. And we'll go load that up real quick. What time is it? 2:30. Okay. Actually, a little bit ahead of the game this week on production, so I've been going to do today's stream, get this set up so I have something to talk about. I'm going to probably record the video of this tomorrow and have it go up on Saturday. All right, so it looks like Steam is loading up here. David Sherman wants to know the connector. So I'm assuming you're talking about this thing here. This is the OWC Thunderbolt hub. And it requires a Thunderbolt 4 PC or a Thunderbolt 3 Mac. And I have a review of it going up tomorrow night. It's not yet on Amazon. I bought one. I pre-ordered it from them, and I got it right before Christmas. But they're in very short supply, as you can imagine. They're really useful. So I've got video going out of here. I have Ethernet in here, and it powers the laptop. I could actually run this hard drive through it also because it's Thunderbolt, but I figured I'd plug it into its own port there. Okay, so why don't we grab well, let's go grab the 3D Mark benchmark. That's what I'm most curious about. It'll probably crash, but let's try it. And you can see all the games that I have and don't play because I'm always so busy. I have kids. I don't play games anymore. Although my daughter and I have been getting into, we've been playing Among Us because one of the YouTubers she likes is into that. All right, we'll install 3D Mark. This is about 7 gigs, so we'll have to let this download. But the good news is, look how fast my connection is, everybody, at least most of the time. So we will let the Steamworks get installed, and now we'll download 3D Mark. I'm actually curious how this will make use of the network connection, because we have essentially a gigabit of downstream bandwidth, and Steam rarely gets up to that level, but usually it gets around 60 megabytes or so, depending on the system. But yeah, we're getting close to what I usually get on my Windows PCs, so that's not bad. And yeah, Mark, we'll definitely try out Rocket League. I was surprised. So, it's funny, if you watch my review of the M1 Mac, I was really surprised by how well the Mac version of Rocket League ran on this computer. And it was something that I ran on the Intel MacBook Air that I reviewed about a year prior. It's like, I can't even tell you how much better it is on this one with no fan. It's crazy. Yeah, and it doesn't support the Microsoft Store yet. Got a super chat from Thomas Anfang. And that's right, so there's a bunch of stuff. I got to look and see what things there are, but there's a bunch of new books and media going into the public domain this year. Because I think it was a year or two ago that the copyright expirations began again, because there was some law that put a lapse on it because of Disney, and that law did not, Congress hasn't been doing much, so one of the things they didn't do was renew the lapse. So we'll have to see what happens. JFZ wants to know what GPU will be emulating. I don't know how this is going to work. That's one of the mysteries. I have seen that people are running Rocket League and other games on here. So we'll have to see how it goes. Bobby Kraft says, this or a Hackintosh? Well, sadly, I think because of this M1 stuff, that the days of the Hackintosh may soon be over. Chris says the Mac version is deprecated. I think you're talking about Rocket League, and it's not very quick. Like when you run, I ran Rocket League in boot camp on my MacBook Pro, and that one ran much better in the Windows version. So Grayson says that the 7 gig file would take about 8 hours to download on his DSL. Interesting. Rocket Pig says, this is the best stream I've stumbled upon today, trying to figure out more about drop shipping, and I found myself back on Amazon. It would be interesting to see how this runs in the setup. And Happy New Year to you. Yeah, I've been streaming on Amazon for a while now. I enjoy it. Actually, it's good. It got me to stream, and it's a good fit for what I do, I think. All right, we're almost there. It's funny, it's kind of coming in drips and drabs. My guess is that it's just holiday traffic. But as far as the network performance goes, this is about what I see on my PC for network performance. So it's not bad. And the reason why I see only 60 megabytes per second when I can actually pull 200 down is that there's a lot of compression and decompression going on Steam as it's downloading. So I think that lends itself to some of that. And Chris says that the Linux version of Rocket League was deprecated. So I have not been following. I know they made it free to play, right? So it could be. Yeah, it's still available. You can still download it and play it. I didn't do multiplayer. Alberto in Spain is about to have dinner. What's for dinner tonight? We haven't made that decision yet. We got the kids McDonald's for lunch today, and I had a McDouble. I love the McDouble. McDouble is like the cheapest nutrition you can buy. It's probably not good for you either, but somebody wrote an article about the McDouble. You should check it out. It's pretty funny. Dev107 says it can only run 32-bit programs. Actually, no. I think what we just did was installed I think that's what I did. The 64-bit emulator is also available now on the insider builds of Windows, and I think that is what we installed when we rebooted. So this should do both, but we'll find out. I'm as surprised any of this stuff is working, to be quite honest with you. So you know what we'll do? We'll throw TimeSpy at it and just see what happens. I don't have a lot of faith that this is going to run very well. It doesn't seem to be pulling up the menus very quickly. So, but we'll try it and see what happens. Again, we're virtualizing here and we're not boot camping it. So I think that is part of it. Oh, look at this. Okay, it says TimeSpy is not able to run. Oh, it has to be in 64-bit mode. Okay, so we got to force that. So, and his ARM processors are not supported in this test. So is it the ARM processor or is it the 64-bit? Let's see if we can figure out. Yeah, it's running in 32-bit mode. So let's see if we can force the 64-bit version. Because it does have both on here, and I think you can force one or the other. You know, let's force 64-bit. Let's try that. Ah. So that didn't load. So apparently, we have to do a little bit more digging into enabling this 64-bit thing. In the Windows search bar, search for Insider. All right, let me go back to the Insider program settings here, because I think we missed the step here. Ah, okay, bear with me here, folks. I got to figure out what I missed. So there's a dev channel and a beta channel. Let me take a look here. So Mark says I should be on the front page of Amazon. Actually, occasionally we are. So there are opportunities, and we might have a few coming up. So I've been on the front page a couple of times. I was on during the holiday rush, and I got like a huge amount of traffic from that. It was crazy. All right, so let's say Windows ARM 64-bit Insider. Let's see if I can find the setting that we need. Because there is an article. Okay, it's on the dev channel. So we have to switch to the dev channel. So I'm going to go here to dev channel. And that's probably going to be, obviously, enabling a whole bunch of downloads that will occur after the fact. All right, so let me note that here in my notes. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Windows Update, because now I'm on the beta channel, or the dev channel, and that should generate a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, good. We're on dev channel. It says it is for highly technical users. I don't know if I'm going to be able to match that requirement. So now let's check for updates again, and we should see another update now, which will be more substantial. So that's the step we missed before. Yeah, so now it's doing like this Insider preview. That's what we want. So this is like a whole big deal. So we got to download that. And then we'll have a better idea of this. Okay. It's at 0%, so this is going to take a while. How's the weather where you are? All right. So we'll wait that out here. And I'm missing some chats here. Mark Dell says the McDouble is, calling it nutritious is generous. Yeah, you know, here's my thing with McDonald's is that I used to like eat, I love McDonald's, like a lot. And I have to be very careful about it because as the older you get, the worse you're going to do with this stuff. So I used to do the 2 hamburger meal with so 2 burgers, fries, and a Coke. And then I wanted to lose all this weight, so I stopped. But here's my thought on the weight loss thing that I went through. And by the way, I'm like back. I'm in a cutback mode here because I put on like 7 or 8 pounds since I've been locked up since March. And I'm like, oh boy, we gotta put a stop to this. But I didn't want to give up things that I liked. So I started like researching all the nutritional stuff at McDonald's, and the first thing I threw out was the fries because I love the fries. Like I really love the fries, but those are just nothing but empty calories and sodium, right? So got rid of the fries. And then when I looked up the 2 hamburger deal, all that bread just adds a lot of carbs to the mix that you don't need. So I've narrowed it down to like 3 things that I get all the time. If I'm in the mood for a burger, if I'm sort of hungry, I'll just get the cheeseburger. If I'm really hungry, I'll get the McDouble, or I do the McChicken. And all those are like 400 or 500 calories or less. And then the Egg McMuffin is another one to look at because it's only 300 calories, and it's available all day long now. And it's made, believe it or not, the Egg McMuffin is made from a fresh egg. They actually crack an egg and cook it to order, essentially. I would imagine in the morning they've got a bunch of them already cooked under heat lamps or whatever. So I'm just giving you my McDonald's thoughts here. And then I still get the Coke. And I don't drink soda any other time, but I get a small Coke and I drink like a quarter of it and I toss the rest out. Very wasteful, but you can't give it all up, you know what I mean? And I found that you can hit the calorie goal there. And I'm not as worried about the fat and stuff. I'm knock on wood, I'm fortunate. I have to go back. I haven't had a physical in a while, but I'm fortunate because I'm not susceptible to cholesterol issues. So I can get away with fattier foods. So I've been really focused on the calories and the sodium to a lesser degree. And Chris says, I am an Amazon celebrity. Yes, I am on there. So you can find my videos on a lot of products. And actually, if you go to, so if you're watching on YouTube right now, click the link in the description, and that will take you over to Amazon. And I would love for you all to follow me here. Because when they do put me on the front page, it's usually because there's some deal going on that you can get a good deal on. So there you go. Craig says, this was not the content he was expecting. Yeah, we're just filling time because we are at 1% of our insider build installation. And I'm getting hungry. I don't know what I'm going to do for dinner. We've got this, so we got this restaurant in town. I love this guy because he's he's constantly experimenting. So he's turned he has like this really nice, like sit down American restaurant. It's a really good place. Got a diverse range of different types of foods and stuff. But they've been doing a lot of other cool things with, because of the pandemic. So you can order online, they just drive it to your house. It's great. So they set up this almost like a food court thing, but it's all like super good, high quality stuff. I had this, so they have a taco thing, which to me is like as good as those street tacos you get somewhere. I had like this, maybe I'll order it tonight. They had this beef taco. Oh my God, like unbelievable. Like my mouth is watering just thinking about it. So I got that. They have like, they have like a whole taco thing. They've got like this Vietnamese noodle stuff, like unbelievably good, all in the same place. They've got pizza, which is good. They've got some other thing, like it's just like a little food court that they set up. So you can go there and pick it up, or you can just do it up on the computer and they just drop it off at your house. And that's been really good. So we've been doing that. We got a great Cajun place around the corner that we order from. So we've been doing that. So part of like supporting these local restaurants has been really bad for my for my weight. So I put on 8 pounds. We're trying to support the local restaurants. And we got this really good pizza place. They brought in, and by the way, in case you're just tuning in, the reason why I'm talking about food is because we're trying to install this thing here. So the pizza place brought in this ceramic wood-fired oven from Italy. I don't even know how they got it into the place that it's in, but the pizza is just spectacular. It's almost as good. So just so you all know, about 20 minutes away from me is like the best pizza in the world in New Haven, Connecticut. We have Pepe's and Sally's. That's like the big rivalry here. It's Yankees and Red Sox and Pepe's or Sally's. And I'm a Pepe's guy. The Pepe's pizza, like you go there and eat that pizza, you will eat a large pizza on your own. It's so good. It just is like, I don't know what they do with it. It's a brick oven thing. So that's really good. And then New Haven is also famous for inventing the hamburger. We claim that. And there's a place in New Haven called, and I have never been to it, I have to get there. It's called Lewis's Lunch. And they still make the hamburgers exactly the way they made it when they first made the first one. And they are delicious. We're at 35%, by the way. And then when this is done, we will be running 64-bit stuff. So there you go. Lelouch says, am I excited for USB 4 on AMD hardware? I am, because I've been a big proponent of Thunderbolt. And here's the crazy thing, though, by the way. I don't think this dock is going to work on USB 4 because it's Thunderbolt. So it's supporting something that didn't make it over to the USB thing. It's so confusing. So we'll have to see what happens. Hot Sauce says, I wish all I put on this year was 8 pounds. Well, I'm kind of compounding it because I had put on like 6 or 7 before. And I chalk that up to, I'm trying not to be like vain here, but I chalked it up to muscle gain because of my children, I've gotten more upper arm strength than I've ever had. So I thought maybe the first 5 or 6 pounds was from that. It probably isn't. But there you go. Lelouch says that in the Czech Republic, they have a pretty big Vietnamese minority left over from the communist exchange program. So there's Vietnamese everywhere. Well, that's got to be good. Yeah, one thing that's great about the U.S. is that we have such great food because it is a real tapestry of you know, the story of this country, of all these people coming from different places. We have, like, New Haven's really great because you have Yale University's in New Haven, so you have so many uniquely fascinating restaurants. And they have an Eritrean restaurant in New Haven, so that's really good. David says he was a New York resident. Let me pull up his comment here. Visiting Connecticut this day in 1982, was hit in the head with a golf club. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Was that, hopefully that wasn't like, it was an accident. I hope it wasn't like an assault. But Yale is a good hospital. That's where my 2 children were born. And I hope you're doing okay, David. Oh my goodness. So here's an inflammatory, this comment will no doubt get some people stirred up, but I'm going to put it up here anyhow. Why is every Apple fanboy suddenly interested in running Windows? You know, actually, I've always run Windows on my Mac. And what got me to switch to the Mac was when they switched to Intel. Because I switched to the Mac. So I've switched back and forth now probably 2 or 3 times over the years. Oh, so got a question on Amazon here. I'll come back to this in a second. Where can I find a 4 terabyte solid-state drive that connects to a Thunderbolt or Type-C power cord? I don't know. I don't think there is a 4 terabyte one available. You might look at some of those NAS solid states probably work. You might want to look at maybe doing that, or that's a good question. Or maybe buying an enclosure. They have Thunderbolt enclosures that you could probably raid up to 4 terabytes. That might be worth looking at. But back to the Mac thing. So I switched to the Mac back in 2006 in this current iteration because it ran Windows. Because at my job, I was running Windows. I was doing a lot of Fox Pro database work. And I liked the Mac because I was also, for another thing I was doing professionally, I was doing a lot of presentations. And rewind to 2004, 2005, and Keynote was just light years beyond PowerPoint, and it is still ahead of it to some degree. I really love Keynote. I've gotten so proficient at it over the years. So I had a Mac that I was using almost primarily for presentations because Keynote was so good. And I found that when I was doing presentations, the audience was really engaging with my presentations more when I used Keynote than when I was using PowerPoint. And so I had a little white iBook that I was using for presentations. And then I was carrying around a big, heavy Dell. And then when they switched to Intel, I bought a MacBook Pro, and I had both. So I could boot up Windows in boot camp, or I could run the Mac. And then I bought a refurbed Mac Pro that I was using as my daily driver PC. And it was spending kind of it was like 50-50 Windows and PC. It was a great game playing machine too. So David said he was 7 years old. So one of his cousins did it to him. Those cousins. Chris says we need more food talk. Yeah, a lot of tech people start up like food channels. So I am a big fan of food, but I don't like seafood. I could just, and I think what happened with me and seafood was that my father, when I was a little kid, my father bought a boat, this little 24-foot something or other. And we used to go out fishing all the time on the boat. We never caught, we caught these terribly, horrible fish. I don't even know what kind of fish it was, but the taste of it. So whenever I have seafood, I just go back to that. It's like in my brain. I can't, it's just, it's like a coding error in my head. Oddly though, those Gordon fish sticks, I can eat those. So apparently if it's fried up with a lot of breading, I can eat it. All right, so we're just waiting on the update to finish up here. And in case you're just tuning in, we have installed, this is running in parallels here. So one of the things that I love to do on the Mac, because I've been running VMware on my Mac for quite a while, and I just love the ability, and Parallels has a cool feature where you can kind of go back and forth. But if I grab my take 4 fingers on the trackpad, Mac, Windows, Mac, Windows. Don't you love that? I'm sorry, you can't see me doing it. Mac, Windows, Mac, Windows. Don't you love that? I think it's so cool. And so when I was working full-time and I was doing a lot of Windows stuff, I had my MacBook Pro docked to whatever it was on my desk. And so I would be doing a lot of stuff on the Mac, and then when I had to do something in Windows, I would go Windows. That was it. That was all day long. Mac, Windows, Mac, Windows. Sometimes I would go dual display and I'd have Mac on one side, Windows on the other. You got to have a lot of RAM for this because, actually, let's check our RAM usage here. Let's see what we've got for memory freed up here. Activity monitor. Let me pull that up real quick. So I'm curious about our RAM usage right now. So if we go to memory, yeah, so we're using a lot of RAM because we're running that virtual machine, right? So I've got 16 gigs and I got 11 in use. So I still have some free memory here, but VMs are not as efficient as like a Docker image might be. And I've been playing a lot more with Docker. And by the way, here's wow, it's using that much memory? So it must be, here, let me pull this up real quick for you. So that's what's so weird about this. It must be swapping some of it out. It says it's using 16 gigs. That's all I have in here is 16 gigs. So it must be swapping some of it out. So we may adjust the RAM back down a little bit. I'm not noticing the system slowing down at all because the actual memory in use is 11. And we are using about 1.6 gigs of swap. So we've hit it a little bit there, but the memory pressure isn't bad. So I think we're okay. And I'm sure some of you who know more about this stuff can tell me what I should be fixing here. Oh, here we go. Looks like it's installed. So let's do a restart. And we'll let that go. In the Amazon chat, Roger P. wants to know, do I play games on Windows on my Mac? I do on the MacBook Pro. So I was into No Man's Sky. I still am to some degree, but I was really going through it for a while. So when I went to Germany for the IFA trip, I was playing it on my Mac in boot camp. So I booted up into boot camp and play it on the Mac. And I did a video a while ago about setting up a Windows to Go installation. So I actually was booting Windows from an external SSD. So I didn't have to use up any of my internal storage for it. All right, we're installing, rebooting here. And it looks like we're ready to go. But these Macs, by the way, so the M1 Macs, again, you can't really boot camp these at all at the moment. And you're running the ARM version of Windows. Oops. And it's not that hot. What's amazing about these Macs is that on my MacBook Pro, it's definitely warmer than usual. But my MacBook Pro right now, the fan would be going nuts. Like it'd be running full blast, like the VM always kills it. And this thing is just slightly warm to the touch right now. So Philip Walters says he's never liked seafood until he gained 100 pounds, which he then lost. Wow, that's good. Good for you. He tried Chilean sea bass for the first time and has been hooked ever since. So maybe I'll try that. I think it's got to be not so fishy for me to like it. The ROM Father says, is 3D acceleration supported on Parallels? I think it is, although I'm not expecting much here. We're going to try to force that 3D benchmark to run here when we get it booted up. And we will see how well it does. And JFZ, yeah, so you got to be careful when you got swap going on SSDs. It certainly will wear it down. And that's of particular note for these Macs because you can't swap out the storage is like hard soldered on and you can't swap it out. So at least it's under warranty still. I've got the Apple Care on this thing. All right, so now we've got some updates for your PC. I've never liked these statements that they make. You know, we know what's best for you. Sit back and we will make your life better. This might take several minutes. And what we're essentially doing here is switching from 32-bit ARM to 64-bit ARM, I believe. So this was a pretty significant update that it pushed down here. Yeah, I'm getting hungry. It's only 3 o'clock, so I'm in trouble. And Thomas Anfang, yeah, I have to get into OpenEMU. Yeah, I did a video on OpenEMU years ago. I don't know if they've optimized for the ARM chips yet. I should look into that. Yeah, here's the we are Microsoft of Borg. Resistance is futile. This may take several minutes. Yeah, it's almost done. These updates will help protect you in an online world. So you will feel much better about yourself because we will keep you protected. Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing those tacos tonight. That's what we're going to do. And of course, we're not doing anything for New Year's. I never typically did anything for New Year's either. So, and by the way, I bought the 16 gig version of the MacBook Air primarily because I was thinking I'd be running Windows or some virtualization on it. So that was part of the thought process. Okay, so now, oh, here it goes. This didn't happen before. Now the parallel tools are installing. So we're going to let those install because I'm sure there's going to be a reboot after this is over with. Oh, it's reinstalling. Okay, so it must be switching from 32 to 64. That's what's going on. Brett Cordich wants to know, what dock are we using? This is brand new, and we'll have a review of this up tomorrow night. This is the OWC Thunderbolt Hub. And actually, if you go to Lon.TV if you look at my Thunderbolt playlist, Lon.TV/tbolt docs, I think. T-docs? Okay, we're going to restart here again. Let me look that up real quick. I have the review's up. I just haven't published it yet. Is it T-bolt docs? Is that what it is? No. Let me look it up here real quick. So I have a playlist set up with all these Thunderbolt docs in there. Let me find it real quick. I will look it up for you right now because I do have the link to this. So give me 1 second here. If you're curious about that doc, just got to find the link. So if you go to, okay, T docs. So if you go to Lon.TV/T as in Tim docs, DOCKS, the review is up there right now for this. And this is a 3-port Thunderbolt hub. So it's kind of a roll your own dock. And it has been great. We did a live stream of it the other day also. I think we did a live stream with it. Yeah, we did. So you can find that in my live stream archive at lon.tv/livestreams as well. All right, so now we are back up with like the 64-bit everything here. So now we're going to go back to 3D Mark and see if we can get one of these benchmarks to run. And let's see what happens. All right. So Steam is up and running. And once again, the network is disconnected, so we've got to do the shuffle here. Network disconnect, network connect. There we go. Okay, so now we got network again. So let's go over to Steam once more and try to get this working. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to my library, and we'll go run 3D Mark. I'm going to force the 64-bit one to launch. And let's see if it runs this time. I think that was further than we got last time, right? And this is like bleeding edge here, so do not expect much out of this. Roger P. wants to know, do Macs support high refresh rate? I believe they do. I have my Mac running on a 100 hertz display upstairs. And Roger wants to know also, do I use Final Cut Pro 10 for editing videos? I do. I certainly do that. All right, looks like it stopped loading. Let's try this again. 464-bit. Hey, Smoke Monster is here. Mister, you say. You know, I was just thinking about you, Smoke Monster, because somebody mentioned the Mister, and here he is. I stumbled across the stream that we did last year with the Mister. I wonder if we should do another one, because there's been a lot of new stuff that's come out for it. And anytime somebody brings up the word Mister, he just appears. Okay, so it looks like 3D Mark is not loading at all. So let's try this again and see if I just launch it like normally, if it will. Yeah, it's crashing on us. So it was running before, at least booting, and now we can't even get it to load. So let me try to force the 32-bit one here and see if that works. So the 32-bit one loads up, but not the 64-bit one, which should work. Smoke Monster must have like something trolling the, or not trolling, but studying the YouTube API for any mention of Mister, and then he appears. Like that like his namesake in that show Lost, right? Let me try this one more time. I may reboot and see if we can force the 64-bit thing to load up here. This is bugging me now. It's like, why isn't it working? It's got to be a reason. Yeah, it's just conking out on us. All right, so let me shut this down, and we'll do a quick reboot, and we'll try it again. Yeah, so Smoke Monster and I did a stream last year. It's still available if you go to my Mister playlist. That was a lot of fun. You know what I'm going to do too? I'm going to reduce the memory footprint a little bit. So let me go into Configure, and we're going to reduce the memory, because I had set the memory to 8 gigs, and I think I'm going to go into like the 6 gig territory. I'm trying to keep it from swapping out on us. Now here's a question for you all. I'm using the Apple Hypervisor. Is that the one I should use, or should I use the Parallels one? I'm assuming the Apple one is the one to use for this, but I will defer to the experts. All right, so we're going to start Windows up again with a little less memory. So Thomas switched over to Fiber, as I did. Yeah, it is a whole different world to being on Fiber. Everything just works. And I think what it is that when you look at some of the copper-based solutions, you know, they're so subject to interference, and that was what I was dealing with. 'Cause we'd have streams that would work fine, and then other streams would just conk out on us completely. And I'm only using like a small fraction of my available bandwidth right now. I mean, it's just been such a game changer for me. All right, let's try loading up Steam again here. Oh, before we do that, I got to cycle the network again. It definitely feels like bleeding edge. But I love that these companies let you try this stuff because they can develop faster when they allow people to experiment. And us users will find things that others will not. And that's a real credit to Parallels and to Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft is allowing this, right? They don't have to do this. All right, so let's go back and try to load up 3D Mark again. Yeah, it doesn't look like it wants to load that up. All right, so it looks like that one's not going to load for us. I mean, we could try the 32-bit version and see, maybe we can run the CloudGate benchmark with that. But yeah, the 64-bit is just conking out on us. And it is detecting so it looks like it's capable of running in 64-bit mode. Yeah, Mark Dell, so Smoke Monster actually activates his smoke machine in the stream to show how it works. A little behind the scenes that we get from Smoke Monster. Oh, yeah, I'm on the insider ring, I think, aren't I? Windows on ARM doesn't support 64-bit Intel binary. Oh yeah, no, we did that earlier. We're on the insider ring. And I got to do VC. What's this thing? VC redist for ARM. Do I have to put that on? So maybe that's why it's not working. So let's go look for that. Is that something I can just grab from? Let's take a look. All right, so we need to find the VC redist for ARM. Let me try that. VC. See if I can track it down here. Okay, so we have an ARM64. All right, let me try to install this manually and see if this does it for us. It looks like that just conked out also. Oh, there it is. All right. So that worked. And this is frozen. Yeah, it's definitely not perfect yet. But we're not expecting that. We're just expecting it to... Okay, so now we got that installed. Let's try it again. And no. Yeah, so it looks like we did try that, and it didn't seem to work. Jolt Dude put a web link in the stream. I'm not seeing it there. I wonder if, oh, maybe it moderated that out, maybe. Let's take a look. Let me scroll back through the, yeah, it didn't pop up there. PCL Strict wants to know, does with the Lenovo Yoga 7i with the 11th gen Intel work with an eGPU? It should. It should work with the eGPU. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to be booting that up. So let's try. Maybe I should reboot again now that I installed that redistribution package. Try it one more time here and see what we get. Yeah, I was hoping to run some benchmarks. You know, we could try to run like the CloudGate one and just see what we get out of that. Because I actually do have some benchmarks from last year with that particular benchmark. All right. Netlux says, if you're going to use Windows in parallels, do yourself the favor of installing a package manager. Chocolatey at chocolatey.org will make this all. I got to look into that because I've been trying to speed up the workflow for the system reviews that we do. Because we install like the same stuff every time we do any of these things. So to have like a quicker package manager might be really helpful. Okay, look for the redistribution link in the blog post from Microsoft. All right, so let's look for that. Actually, I'll do it in the VM here. Oh, the video's all out of whack now. Hang on. It's still a little glitchy, for sure. Okay. Yeah, see that? I just went full screen and it's like, it's all out of whack. Hey, look at that. I'm on the list of recommendations for Smoke Monster. So he was watching something else and it's like, hey, you should watch me live. And here I am. All right, so let me go back into Edge here. Something's messed up because it's all messed up again. Let me go network, disconnect, network, shared. All right, network's back. Yeah, it's frozen now, so let me reboot it again. This is beta software. It's par for the course. All right, we'll do one more reboot here, and then we'll grab it from that blog post. Let's see if we get that to work. Roger P. says, when will Starlink Internet come out in 2021? Well, I think it's going to slowly roll out as it's been rolling out. The problem, though, is that if you're in a more congested area, you're likely not going to have it available to you. So, it's going to be a hit or miss thing, I think, for many. And it looks like it's available in these little squares across the map, essentially. So it's a matter of when they get enough satellites up there. They were launching them like about every 2 weeks, and that last launch, I think, was like in November. So I bet you they'll pick the cadence back up again in January. And I'm guessing if they have a lot of other satellite business, that has an impact in what Starlink ones they can get up. It's funny, every time I boot, I have to go in and like cycle the network. So let's go back to network. We're going to disconnect, and then we'll reconnect. And it froze up again. It's suddenly like not working as well as it did a little bit earlier. There it is. Okay, so devices, network. Okay, so now we got to go find that blog post. So we'll say Microsoft blog Windows 10 ARM Mac M1. Oops. All right, here's a Microsoft thing here. Okay, so is this the post everybody's talking about? I think this is what we're looking for. All right, download and install Parallels, which we did. They bring you through all this stuff. We did all this. We're good, 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 good. Okay, so Windows 10 install. Okay, we did that. We got that going. We got the install going. I'm just looking to see if there is a link to a redistribution file. So if somebody could share that link with me, that would be really helpful to speed this up a bit. Because I was looking at this article on 9 to 5 Mac. And it looks like we just locked up again. This is an Edge problem because at least like Windows itself is still functioning. The browser is what, because we went through all of this stuff. We did bump up the core allocation. Look for x64 on ARM blog post. Okay, let's try that. x64 on ARM blog post. I'm just going to search for that. All right, here it is. Is this it? Yes, here it is. That's what we want. I think this is what we installed a few minutes ago, though, isn't it? So let's let that run through here real quick and see what we get. Okay, setup successful. I have a feeling that it's just this 3D Mark thing that's not cooperating, but we'll try a couple things first to see what we get. Okay. Blogs, Windows Central. Yeah, I think that's what we just did. Let me just double check that. So Roger's asking, what's a good alternative to Comcast Internet? Unfortunately, there isn't one in most places. I know that like a few of my friends in Boston have a choice between Verizon Fios and Comcast, but for the most part, there isn't anything that's better because there's just no, they're a regional monopoly, and you just don't have a choice. And that's how they can just raise rates all the time and hit you with download caps. I mean, I'm paying $300 a month for my fiber, $320 a month for my fiber connection. It's been crazy. All right, we're going to try this one more time on the 64-bit, otherwise we'll force the 32. I am not hopeful here that we're going to see it work. And no, so we'll do the 32. We'll just run the other benchmark. I was hoping to do the time spy just to see if we could get that to run at all, but I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, so let's go back to the benchmark list here. Yeah, I just don't think this app runs in 64-bit on the ARM thing. I'm sure it's going to be something we'll see on a lot of other stuff. So let's go to modify. We're going to do the unsupported tests. And CloudGate is something we run on everything. So, oh, I can't run this one either? Why not? I'm install it anyhow. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it just won't let you run this on ARM. That was a waste of time. I can't even force it to run. So, Mark Dill, I was considering this for New Year's tonight, actually, was doing the Animal Crossing thing. All right, so Netlux, I'm not sure what you're talking about. WSL2, it takes 30 seconds. What is WSL2? Yeah, so we'll skip the benchmarks. Let's just run. We'll put Rocket League on here and see if that installs. So what I'm going to do here is just uninstall 3D Mark just to get our space back here. So I'm not sure how much I allocated. Yeah, some of these games are pretty intense. Let's try I bought some new games recently, by the way. I got Among Us. My daughter and I have been playing that. We had some fun with that one. Let me go and try Rocket League first. Well, let's see if that runs. A Windows subsystem for Linux. Got it. Netlux wants to know, are we running Windows 10 Home or Pro? I am running whatever one they give you. So let's find that out real quick. I am pretty sure that this is... It is Pro Insider Preview, version 2004. And it's running as ARM64. I'll zoom in on this a little bit here. So that's what you got. So it's detecting 4 processors, all that good stuff. And this is the Windows 10 Pro Insider Preview. We're on version 2004, OS build 21277.100. So that's what we've got on board there. All right, so we'll let this download real quick. The good news is I don't have any download caps and won't get one either. So we'll let that go. Roger P wants to know if I played Call of Duty. Yeah, I've played it a little bit. I played the original one on the Xbox 360. I played that one quite a bit. And I tried the Cold War one. But I'm more into like the spaceship and airplane stuff. So I've been playing Star Wars Squadrons. That's something I've been having some fun with. And I got that new game Wingman. I'm going to try that one out. I love VR. Like VR has been my... On the PC, that's primarily what I've been playing with. And then on the Switch, we've been playing Among Us. My daughter and I have been playing that. Animal Crossing. We love Animal Crossing. So there's that. Roger P's asking about Halo. You know, I never got into Halo. I have Game Pass, so I should play around with it. But that's one that I haven't played with all that much. All right, Rocket League is downloading rather slowly, so we got to wait for that to come in, and we'll see if that one works. We were not able to get any benchmarks going, which was a bummer, because I would love to be able to run a few benchmarks and just get an idea as to where it is at. And there's probably some that we could run, but. And Sam Lazar is joining us from Melbourne, Australia, where it is already 2021. Is it better already? That's what I love. It's like everyone's like, oh, the year is going to end. It's going to be so much better. No, tomorrow's going to be just as lousy as today is. But it might get slowly better as the year progresses. My hope is that June is better than today. That's my prediction. So we'll see what happens. J-Link here is asking, is the M1 my primary computer? For the most part. I've got computers all over the place, as you can imagine. But I've been using this, primarily as my daily driver. So the last... probably the last half dozen videos I've uploaded were exported and edited on this thing. I still have a desk over there with my iMac on it. And as soon as something faster comes around, I was thinking about getting the Mac Mini to replace the iMac. But the iMac is working fine. I tend to use my computers until they're not usable, either because they break down and completely blow up, or because what I need to do on them can't be done anymore. So I haven't figured it out. Logic KGR is first getting his notification now. So here's a little trick, and not to keep putting you all to Amazon, but if you follow me on Amazon, everybody gets those notifications really quickly. The only time you wouldn't get one is if you had a lot of like shipment notifications and stuff get pushed down. I think they throttle how many they send out, but I found people are pretty good with that. Mark just got the Aleste collection for the Switch. It came in 2 days from Japan. Oh, that's cool. I had a Game Gear Micro with it. Oh, that's kind of neat. I'll have to look for that. I got a lot of games on the Switch. I really like the Switch. I play a lot of Tetris 99. That Mario 35 has been fun. Redacted has 2.5 hours until the new year. Yeah, we have about 7 and change right now where I am. Thank you, Mark Dell, for putting that link up. And we're almost there on Rocket League. We'll see where it goes. And I'm going to have to leave in a little bit, so hopefully we'll get something to work before I before I shut down. I want to find like a few applications that we can run that might make sense for people, right? And we're almost there on the download. Jayling says, I think I might keep the MacBook M1 that I bought just to be on the bleeding edge. Yeah, I like the M1. Yeah, and because I have PCs, I don't miss the lack of Windows compatibility. I think I would miss it more if I didn't have another computer I could run Windows on. But I think for a lot of people, this thing makes a lot of sense. I mean, it is every bit. So I have the last Mac that I bought prior to this one was my 2016 MacBook Pro 15. And this is, like, in every way, this one outperforms it. Like, it just feels, like, it feels faster. And in many areas, it is faster or equal to. It's remarkably good. And normally, like, if I had that MacBook Pro on the desk here, it would be blowing hot air everywhere. The fan would be blowing like crazy. This thing is just silent and fast. And the battery's good on it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a battery indicator on this thing telling me to charge it. But also, I don't go anywhere. So when I start traveling again. But what I'm excited about with it is that when I go to New York City, I can bring this one with me versus the heavier MacBook Pro and have pretty much the same functionality. I used to have to choose between, a lightweight laptop or functionality, and now I have both. Although I would have loved for this to have been put into a 12-inch package. I mentioned that in my review. Chris Allegretta says, if I were throwing out game recommendations, I highly recommend Immortals Phoenix Rising, on sale for $30 in physical form, and it's a Breath of the Wild-ish style game. Let me check that out. Roger loves editing videos and photos on the Mac. Yeah, I'm surprised how good Final Cut runs on this thing. Like, Final Cut is faster for me on this than it is on my MacBook Pro. Now, if I had like the newer 16-inch MacBook Pro or one that, something that's been more recent, I probably would have a different opinion. But this thing is a lot faster than what it's sort of replacing. And what's going to happen here is that I'm still trying to figure out like what I'm going to do for upgrades. So Jake is still running, Jake who edits videos for me, he's still running on my 2012 MacBook Pro Retina. That thing does not die. Like I said, I like to keep them working as long as possible. So Jake is working with that one. So what I will likely do is when the 16-inch M whatever comes out, I'll go to that. And then I might, either I'll give Jake this one and sell the MacBook Pro 15. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. We'll figure it out. Yeah, Chris is a celebrity here. Chris Allegretta in the chat room. Chris is one of our, I think he was one of our first gold level supporters, if I'm not mistaken. And he's also a software author, developer. And he's responsible for getting one of my favorite text editors into every computer in the world. So if you ever run Nano, I think his name's still on it, right? Not to embarrass you. Let's take a look and see if I can. Is there an about? Yeah, is it Control G? Let's see if it's in. Yeah, I think there's somewhere it'll say who, like that he, oops. Aha, here it is. Okay, so, not to embarrass Chris Allegretta here, but we're going to embarrass you. So Nano, here he is, one of the authors of Nano. And what's great about Nano, let me just get out of here. This is Nano. I've been using this editor for decades. Now, it used to be called, it was something else before. So when I first got on the internet, I had Pico and Pine, and they both used a very similar text editor, text-based text editor, or terminal-based text editor. And Chris brought it over to modern times. And now everybody has Nano, because if you have a Mac, you have Nano. It's built right in. Okay. So Richard Barnett says, how do you follow me on Amazon? So if you go to the video, here, I'll pull it up here while we're waiting. Looks like it did actually come through. Oops. So if you go to the video, let me pull it up here real quick. Let me find my link here. So I just clicked over, and here's the thing. Now if you put your mouse over, you'll see a button that's right here. And if you click that, you'll have the option to follow. And the stream on Amazon tends to be a little bit ahead of where it is on the other stuff. Okay, so let's run Rocket League. If it runs. Yeah, I could never get into VI or whatever. I've always been a Pico and Nano guy. Ah! I got more homework to do on this, because it's doing the same thing the other one was doing. It starts and then no. And I've been finding people who said they got this stuff working. So maybe it's the version that it's installing. I'm not sure. But we installed that thing, right? Everything's been plugged in there. Let's try something else. We'll keep playing with stuff until something works on this thing. Let's put Among Us on there and see if that installs or runs. That's a very small game. That should work. All right, let's play this real quick. All right, so this one looks like it's working. This is Among Us. But this is not a stressful game, right? This is like a kind of a low performance kind of thing. So let's just go through here real quick. I understand. We'll just do some local real quick here. But this seems to work fine. So Among Us works. We got one to work. And this is the Windows version running from Steam. So that seems to work. By the way, my daughter and I have been like we were having fun with this. We were playing this morning on the Switch. And we got to be the imposter, and I was like, I got people to kick the wrong person off. Somebody called the meeting, and I just said, hey, I saw the guy with the white hat jump into a vent, and they all just pounced on him and kicked him out. Let's see, what else could we try? I'm trying to find like smaller stuff that we don't have to download for 12 hours. Let's try Shovel Knight. So this is all stuff that's available on the Mac too. All right, so let me try this WSL2 thing he's talking about. Let's see if we can get that working. I don't think it's a display issue. I think it's like some, so he thinks it might be the display adapter that's the issue here. So let's try this WSL2. All right, so run the Windows Insider thing. Install a preview build. Okay, so we just need to type in WSL install. So let's try it, see if it works. It requires elevation, so I have to do like what the, got to launch the command prompt as an administrator. Is that what I got to do here? Run as administrator. I'm not sure what it's doing, but we'll put it in there and see what happens. Maggie wants to know, am I taking advantage of the Epic Game Store's giveaway? I've been doing that. I think I missed a couple of them. So we'll have to figure it out. The dock here, this is an OWC Thunderbolt, a Thunderbolt 3.4 hub. Only works with Thunderbolt 4 on the PC, but it does work on Thunderbolt 3 on the Mac. And I just posted a review the other day. Or actually, no, it's coming up tomorrow. But if you go to my playlist for Thunderbolts, it's called if you go to Lon.TV/tdock, you will see my review of it early. So check it out. But yeah, this is brand new. And I pre-ordered this about back in, I think, like late October, November, and it came in the day before Christmas. It's been awesome. Computech is wondering, why is there more bezels here? It's because we're mirroring the display to 1080p. So that's why it's like that. Okay, we got to reboot the machine here. All right, so what I need help from now from Netlux is what the command needs to be to get this to work. Need to install a base level version of Ubuntu. Yeah, it did install that for us. It did install Ubuntu when it was going. I just want to know what command we need to. So here's what I want to do. I want to just type in something so that 3D Mark will work. So that's what I want you to tell me to do. Give me the command. I will type it in. Let's see what happens. Or is there something I can load up with a GUI? Because right now we're not having much luck. We got one game to work, but that's it. Okay. So let's go back to Steam here again. And I'm running out of time here too, so I think we'll do another 15 minutes and then I'll keep poking around with it after the fact. All right, so now it's installing Ubuntu, and then it's giving me an error. File system error. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be working. And let me just get into my Steam account again. You know what I might do also is, oh, we can't log into that because we got to cycle the network once again. So let's go network. We'll disconnect and reconnect. So I will say, here's what I will say on this early go at this. This is definitely early goings here. So we still have a ways to go, I think, before this works better. All right, let me see if there's a display option. Okay, so I wonder if there's a graphics setting that we're missing just within the configuration here. All right, so let's go back to, and now I'm not running full screen. Let's see if that makes any difference. It may not, and no. Let's also making sure it wasn't trying to stream this from someplace else. So Among Us worked. Rocket League did not work. And we could try a whole bunch of different games just to see if there's anything that can boot up on here. All right, so Netlux, how do what am I, like, I'm just trying to figure out exactly what it is we're trying to do. Because we're booting up Ubuntu, but we're trying to get Windows stuff to work. Because we're not running Linux versions of these games. We're running the Windows version of these games. And we're just not getting there. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to shut this down again and check out the graphics settings. Okay, so if I type in XR ANDR. Okay, let me just check one thing first here. Let's just go to graphics first. Okay, so that's just graphics settings as far as memory is concerned. Yeah, that could be it too, right? I mean, it could be not allocating enough RAM. All right, let's go back and boot it up again and see what we get. It's weird because I've been, I was reading some other folks who have been playing with this, who've been able to get Rocket League at least to boot up on it. All right, let's go into terminal here. Yeah, it's not recognizing that command. So I'm not sure, how do you boot up Ubuntu within Windows? I guess that's the next question. But I don't know if that's going to solve our problem. And let's go back to our network and cycle that once again. Disconnect and reconnect. Now we could try all right, so Netlux, you got to help me find a way to get this going here, because I don't know how to get into Ubuntu on WSL to begin with. But so far, we have not had much success here with Steam. All right, so let me go back in. And I could try, maybe what I might do is maybe I'll grab the Epic Store also and just see, I don't think it's, these games are all loading independently of their stores, but so far only one of these things has actually worked. Let's take a look and see what else I got here. None of the VR stuff, of course, is going to work. Let's try Fall Guys. 5 gigs. Why not? We'll give it a shot. I have nothing on this thing to begin with, so. Yeah, see, the 9 to 5 Mac guy says he was able to get it working, Rocket League. And it didn't seem like he had to do anything special to get it to work. But we will try the Fall Guys out here and see if we can get that working. So give that a second. It is almost there. Elvis Frazier is here. Hope you're doing well. It's on the Amazon chat. So as far as compatibility is concerned, it's looking iffy. Now, granted, we're just trying to play a bunch of games. I don't have an Adobe account, so I'm not going to be able to test that. I think they've got M1 optimized apps for Mac now, don't they? Okay, so let's play the Fall Guys here and see if that boots up here. It's just weird that, you know, like the 9 to 5 Mac guy was able to get all this stuff to work, but we're not seeing that. You know, it could be, because we got another error here also. It's saying, oh, can't run, it's ARM, forget it. Yeah, unsupported host machine architecture. And I don't think there's a way to force this one. This might be what's happening here, is it's polling for whatever it's running and saying, oh, ARM64, forget it. So that's it. Computech is asking if there's a boot camp option. Not yet. So it's only virtualization. So we'll see what happens there. Now, John Lyons said that he was able to get, so let's try that. Maybe we'll grab the Epic Store real quick before I close out. And maybe that's where they were running it from. So the 9 to 5 Mac guy said that he ran the Steam version and got it working, but we're seeing kind of the same thing every time we try to do anything. So let me get this out of here. Let's get rid of Steam. I'm going to uninstall Rocket League just to free up some space. And let's try it on the Epic side, because I think it went free to play, right? So it shouldn't really matter. So I'm just trying to get something installed that I can try so we can demo something. Otherwise, we're not going to have much of a video, right? So that's kind of what I'm going after here. All right, so oops. Let me go back to Edge, and we'll go and grab the Epic Game Store. So JFC says, if Parallels is not offering x64 cores, these games will have a hard time trying to do anything. Yeah, so this is the thing, is that it supposedly, and the version that we installed should work with 64-bit applications. And we've had a few load up, but they don't get very far. And give me a second here. I just got to look up my thing here. Elvis is talking about the A10 Mini on Amazon. It is a great device. We were talking about that a little bit earlier today on the stream. It works really well. I don't use it all the time here just because I've got vMix set up. I mean, ideally, vMix is the way to go if you've got, you know, the ability to build a system that's got that capacity. But the ATEM is nice because it's an appliance, and I have it set up in a few places where they just turn it on, you know. That's all they need to do to get it going. All right, let's do my two-factor here, and we'll see if we have better luck from the Epic Store. All right, so we'll try that real quick, and let's see what we get. All right. So what's free today on the Epic Store? By the way, if you have a virtual reality headset, I am like totally into Star Wars Squadrons. It's been awesome, a lot of fun. And I have it set like on the easy mode, so you're doing like you're flying, and you know, you're doing better than you would probably otherwise be. All right, so here's Rocket League on the Epic Store, which is somebody said they were able to get that to work. So let's click Get. And we'll just get the free one here. And let's see if that works better. The good news is the stores load up just fine. Oh, I have to download the game launcher. If you already have the game launcher, use the open button. Otherwise, download the game. I have the game launcher. Isn't that what I used? No, don't use that. Hang on a second. What did I just download? Oh, I just logged in. I didn't have to download the launcher. Okay. So I got to log back in again with the launcher. I mean, the good news is that a lot of the Intel 32-bit stuff is working. So there's that. And it doesn't feel all that slow. I mean, we saw, you know, Among Us work fairly well there. And Maggie's getting their Shadow PC. I love that Shadow service. We're going to do a video about that soon, too. That might end up being tomorrow's video. We'll see. My plan was to have a bunch of stuff installed after the stream today so that we could do a little thing there. And we'll let this finish installing. The update is verifying. Kusama's wondering if I've tried Elite Dangerous in VR. I did play with it a little bit. I have it. I just never got into it because it's, you know, like it's got so much, you have to learn a lot, and I just don't have, like, I wish I had the time. You know what it is my evenings now are fully engaged in kid and family time, right? So all the time I used to have, I don't have anymore. So I gravitate towards things that are faster for me to learn and just start playing. So like No Man's Sky, when No Man's Sky came out, that kind of scratched that space exploration itch for me. And that's what I've been primarily using. All right, I'm just going to log into my Epic account again on the launcher, which I didn't install the first time. Some dog hair there. All right. And I forgot my password again here. Let's view that. Okay. And we got to do the two-factor again, and then we should be good to go. Okay. So I think we are going to be good. All right, here we go. So now I've got the launcher, and let's go to my library. And so here you can see my Epic library, which is growing with a lot of free stuff. I did buy Tetris Effect in VR. I think that's a pretty fun Tetris game. I have it on my Xbox through Game Pass also. And a bunch of this other stuff was all free. Samurai Showdown, they had that Neo Geo remaster. I got Elite Dangerous on there. I have it on Steam also. I bought it a couple years ago. So let's grab Rocket League here and agree to whatever they're asking me to agree to. And we'll hit install and see if we have better luck with this. I don't know. It does download faster than Steam does, doesn't it? So now the max that I can get out of this particular connection is 100 megabytes per second. So it's running just over half a gigabit. And now it's doing the actual installation. Almost there. Yeah, so there's some discussion about how well the iPad games work on here. So what's interesting is that the developer has to allow it to be installed through the Mac App Store, so not every iPad and iPhone game is available on the MacBook. The ones that are, the best ones work with the game controller. So I found like Grand Theft Auto supports the controller, so that works pretty well, but when you try to replicate the touch controls, it's a disaster. Like it's just not good. You have to do all these gestures, stuff doesn't always work so well. Wow, that looks really cleaned up on Epic Games Store. Grand Theft Auto 5, Watch Dogs 2, World War Z, Just Cause 4. Just Cause 4. I bought that, I think. That's another game I bought and never played. We're just waiting for this to finish installing here. So we're about halfway there. I think it's still downloading. So it's installing as it's downloading. But the download rate is definitely faster than what we saw on Steam a little while ago. So that's pretty good. Yeah, so hopefully we can get something to demo on here. That's part of why I want to do this as a stream today, just to see what it, just to, this is something that, like, before I would stream, this is what I would be doing in my planning process, is like figuring out what we can demonstrate. Yeah, we're almost there. It's a big game, 12 point something gigabytes. So Mark was wondering about the hooking the Quest 2 up via the MacBook to Shadow. And I guess in theory you could get something like that to work. It's just that the latency, even as minimal as it is such that I don't think it's a good VR experience. I don't get sick. I'm not one of these people that get sick in VR, but I have felt that way even with a little bit of latency. Like, the latency's got to be super low for VR to work without causing physical discomfort. Mark says, maybe my video should be about not bothering doing it. Yeah, this is definitely on the bleeding edge. And it is a combination of things. I think that, back to our original discussion and my predictions video from 2 weeks ago, Microsoft hasn't, they've put a lot of effort into making this ARM thing work on the software side, which is what they have control over. But there hasn't been a level of consumer demand or adoption of ARM, nor has there been a real effort on the part of the hardware and chip manufacturers to really push in that direction where Apple can say, this is what we're going to do because we control the entire thing. So you think about it, you buy a Windows PC, there's 3 players. You got the computer hardware, you have the processor, and then you've got the software on Microsoft. On Apple, they control all 3 of those things now. They make the processor, they make the computer, and they make the operating system. So when they want to go in a direction, they can go there because they can say, we're going to do this, and if you're a developer that's not supporting our APIs properly, too bad. And Microsoft doesn't have that luxury. In fact, one of the things that I think has really made Windows so challenging is the fact that it has to run all this old stuff. Like, I can boot up apps I ran in high school on Windows 10. I think, pretty sure I can, or maybe in college. If a Windows 95 app from who knows when tends to work, right? Because they have to maintain that backwards compatibility. I can't run an app on my Mac from like 4 years ago because the Apple says, hey, we're done, move on, and that's it. All right, let's try this, and then I think we're gonna call it a night. Let's see. Running Rocket League. Here we go, everybody. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? It's down there. It's trying. So it's loading the 64-bit version. Look at that. I'm getting a spinning wheel of death, but it's attempting what Steam would not do. And I've got a cursor now. Oh, there it is. So that's more than we got before, right? Definitely more, right? Because it's running. Yeah, the MacBook is definitely warmer than I have seen it get in the past, but it's not hot. Like typically, I never even feel it get warm. Now it's just a little bit warm. Elvis is saying, did 9to5 Mac use Epic instead of Steam? No, they said they use Steam, but this is working much better than it was on the other one. All right, so let's jump in and see what we can get to work here. It's actually, this is probably a video, right? It's not pre-rendered. I can't get out of this. I have no audio either. Oh, it could be, audio could be going through my video system here. Oh, I have to do the tutorial. Hold W to drive. Okay. Press right click to jump, really? Okay. I should hook up a controller, huh? I think I can get audio through, no, I'm not getting any audio. All right, let's let that tutorial finish up. To be honest with you, I'm surprised it's running. I think this is just like a QuickTime video, right? Press W to dodge forward, okay. Let's see what we get here. Yes, I'm not getting any audio. I'll just say yes. I don't want to register. I just want to play this stupid game. All right. Here's the sale. All right, let's just get in here and do a quick thing. So let me check the settings here. All right, so we're going to leave it like at what it detected here. So anti-aliasing is off. Everything else is high quality. And I'm just going to go in and do a local match here. A little free play. Actually, this is running pretty good. Now, can we turn up a frames per second counter on this? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, so it's running at about 40 frames per second, I think. Yeah. So FPS about 40. Now, granted, there's no other players in the game here. What happened? What is this? Shift F3. I don't want to open the panel. Now, let's see what happens if we enable the anti-aliasing mode here. And that's all high quality. So, I mean, that's not bad. For virtualization, no less. I don't know what these things do. Let's just try that one. Wow, this looks pretty good too. What do you all think? I don't have a game controller hooked up, so we could try that later. And this is, so just so you know what's going on here, this is not an ARM version of Rocket League. This is Rocket League running in virtualization. So it's Windows 10 ARM running on Mac OS. And we are emulating Intel x64 here. And it's playable. I mean, that's not bad. 38, 40 frames per second. FXAA is the most demanding. So let's try that real quick. So we'll go to video here and we'll say FXAA high. That's going to kill it, I'm sure. I don't know if it did anything, to be honest with you, because the frame rate's still the same. Yeah, about 37, 38 frames per second. I mean, this is playable. That's very playable. That's remarkable. So the latency doesn't feel bad. I'd have to measure it, but I mean, it feels like it does on when I'm playing it normally. And I would expect the frame rate to dip a little bit if I had other players in there with me, but this is pretty good. I don't have the game controller hooked up, and of course we don't have audio right now either, which I have to troubleshoot. But this is good. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, think about all the layers here, right? We've got Mac OS, so Mac OS, right? Or maybe here, Mac OS, VM, Windows 10, and then all the emulation going on to make this work. So that's cool. All right, so that worked. I'm impressed. I was not expecting that. All right, so that's one of these games. So let's try another one through the Epic Store, which seems to be more cooperative than Steam has been. Isn't it weird that Steam games don't seem to work as well as the Epic ones do? I wonder why that is. Same game, right? Let's see what else I got in here that we could try. I got Shenmue 3, you got the Ghostbusters game, Fortnite. I guess we have to try Fortnite. Is there a Mac Fortnite? I think there might be a Mac Fortnite. We'll pop Fortnite on here just for the heck of it. This will take a few minutes. Yeah, and this I think is a very good summation here from Netlux. The virtualization performance is pretty impressive considering you're using a processor that has a 35-watt TDP and using Parallels and Mac OS and managing all. Yeah, I mean, think about all the stuff that's going on here. So this would, now imagine how this would run if we had a, if we had a boot camp kind of option, right? That would be awesome. John Moshi, yeah, I think we're going to hit it in 2021. We're getting close. And I seem to have a pretty good, predictable cadence of subscribers, so I think we're going to get there. Mark says we need to try out some RetroArch. Yeah, we need to look at that too. So I can't remember, did we run, yeah, we did run the Intel version of the Dolphin emulator. We did run that on here during the review we did of the Mac thing, of the Mac itself. But I should try to do some RetroArch. Yeah, Mark says, I've mentioned RetroArch because I want more layers of emulation. Right, we can emulate and VM it. And yeah, it's rather interesting. Now, if you think about it, the only emulation that was really happening here was the Windows emulation of the game, because the virtualization here is native ARM on the Mac. The Windows 10 that we were running is Windows 10 ARM. So we were pretty much running natively across the board. And I'm guessing it's the efficiency of the hypervisor, which is what kind of manages all this stuff. Because on a good VM with a good hypervisor, which is, we're using the Apple hypervisor, the OS kind of just manages memory, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it kind of steps out of the way. And it's still not hot. It's just warm. Saud wants to know, am I going to try the display link? So this is actually not a display link hub. This is a Thunderbolt hub, which I just reviewed. If you go to my my link for my Thunderbolt docs, it's Lon.TV/tdocs. You'll see this one. It's going to be published tomorrow, the video. Yeah, we're just waiting for Fortnite to finish up installing here. I wonder how much space I've got left on my, my system here. So I'm guessing it's all living inside of this. I don't even know where it's storing this data now that I think about it. I'm just looking on here to see where it is. That's one thing I love, is that you can just flip back and forth just like that. Did it drop it in my downloads folder? I'm not sure where it put it. I got to look around here and see where it actually is storing the data. Because that's a mystery. It's putting it somewhere. It's not in here. I'm used to whatchamacallit, VMware, which like has these files that just are in a spot. I wonder if it'll tell me where it's storing it. Yes, I am running low on my virtual hard drive space, I think. How much do I have left? Let me take a look here. Oh, it says I got 255 gigs available. So it must grow and shrink the virtual hard drive as it goes. I just don't know where it puts all this data. Well, I'll figure that out later. We're almost installed. We've downloaded everything, and it's just doing the installation real quick. And I'll tell you what, like Apple, when you think about the engineering talent they have at that company, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's remarkable. Now, granted, Parallels wrote the VM here, but it's using Apple's hypervisor. So, you know, Apple has a big part in this all working the way it is. Yeah, I actually have a, Mark was saying get Daisy Disk. Yeah, I've got a Daisy Disk license. Let's see where it is. Maybe it's in my, let me check my home directory out here real quick and see if I can track it down. Yep, there it is. Yep, right here. Thank you, Mark, in the Amazon chat. Yes, I could even just offload this to my Thunderbolt drive later. Just copy that whole file over and move it, because it's all contained inside of that install. And Netlux also came in with that comment too, so we are good there. Yeah, but this is pretty. That's impressive. That Rocket League thing was pretty impressive, wasn't it? Okay. And I got to, you know, I'll play around with a few other games tonight. So my wife's going to start looking for me soon. It's almost. I told her I was going to cut out early today, but I haven't quite done that. All right. So here's Fortnite. Launch error. Unsupported architecture. So isn't that funny? So some things will forgive that, others will not. There's got to be a way to like to trick it or force it, isn't there? I mean, what you would think? We up to 3 hours now, Mark? Oh my goodness. We have been going. Well, 2.5 hours. So we are. Oh yeah. Okay. All right, so no go on Fortnite. So let's free up that space. Let me try one more on the, we're going to do one more on the Steam side. And then I got to call it quits for now. But at least I got something that can run. So I can even just do a video talking about how crazy good this computer is. Because like this is the beta of everything. It's beta VM, it's beta Windows. Because remember, this 64-bit Windows thing is all new also. So this is all tip of the iceberg stuff across the board. So Fall Guys didn't like that. And I almost wonder if the game engines are to blame here on this ARM64 thing. So let's try my favorite game, No Man's Sky. If I could run No Man's Sky in a VM, that would be cool. I doubt it's going to work, but you never know. Oh, that's a good comment there, Zadin Tubas 1. Could we force it? Let's take a look at one of the executables and see what options we have for running those things. Let me just pop into my programs file directory here. I have to say, when I first started playing around with the Mac, it was so weird to have a computer, have my Mac run Windows. Now I'm just so used to it that it's something that I just do. Let me find an executable that we could experiment with that with. Let's go properties. See, my eyes are starting to go. I got to look. Either that or things are really tiny on here. You used to be able to go and have it tell you, like, find the source of the shortcut here. Properties. Oh, it might be going to some other thing there. Yeah. All right, we'll come back to that. I will try that once this is done installing to see if we can force it to run in a different mode. Although we could try to just find something here. Oh, future markers. Yeah. Here, I'm just going to pull up one random thing here. Okay, so there is an emulation setting, so that might be what we want to look for. Although there's not something here that forces something to run, is there? And this is the usual compatibility mode thing. Well, if No Man's Sky doesn't boot, we can poke around with that a little bit. You know, this is a good point. I'll pull this up because we had that happen, right? We saw that pop up because of anti-cheat tamper software. That could be a problem, right? Because it could detect that something is happening at a higher level. Thank you for the super chat, Lon.TV. Appreciate that. I do have to play around with Mimo Live a little bit. I'll reach out to them. I met them at NAB years and years ago. So we'll poke around a little bit more with this. Oh, I got a super sticker from Mark Dell. Thank you for your contribution, Mark. I missed that earlier. The super stickers don't come over on vMix Social, so I have to run back and check that when it happens. Okay, we're almost there. Let's see what happens with No Man's Sky. It is still downloading. Yeah, Steam is a little slow on the downloads today. So we'll wait for this to finish, and then I'll be done. And I got to check in with my wife upstairs and see what we're going to do for dinner. I forgot that she bought some steaks. So we might be... doing that. All right, we'll let that finish up. And then after this, I got to run. Grayson, thank you for stopping by. We're almost wrapping up here anyhow. I appreciate you tuning in as usual. And email me, and we'll see if I can connect you with my, my brother-in-law there to help you out. But those steak tacos, I almost feel like ordering the tacos and cooking the steak tomorrow night. I'm tired now. All this emulating and VMing and everything else that we're doing, it just wears you down. All right, we're almost there on the download here. Because talking about those tacos now, it's all I can think about. And they have this, they put this guacamole thing on them, and they mix it in with like this spicy salt. Like, oh, it's just, I ate that taco. This is the best taco I've ever eaten in my life. Maybe I haven't had like exposure to good tacos, because we don't really have decent tacos here in Connecticut, so that could be, I got to go to like San Diego or something, right? Is that where you get the good tacos, in San Diego? And Mark Dell just got some curry. Ooh, I could go for some curry too. I could just eat anything. All right, so I'm negotiating dinner with my wife here while we're waiting for this to install. Let me just... All right, we're just waiting on that install. We're almost there. We're at 7 gigs of 10, and we're downloading at a rate of about 20 megabytes per second. So we're almost there. We'll see if this works. But I have to say that this is like the hot or the warmest this Mac has ever gotten. But it's not even hot. It's just warm. And I've never felt it this warm before, but it's still cranking away here. And again, if I had my other one on the desk right now, the thing would be just chugging away. And this might be an area where you'd see better performance out of the MacBook Pro because it has the active cooling. It's got the fan running, so that might do better. But we'll see. So if No Man's Sky doesn't run, we're going to call it quits. And if it does run, we're going to play for 5 minutes and then call it quits. Hope you all have a good New Year, too, by the way. Tomorrow's Sphere is saying they run a lot of open source programs. How do they run on the MacBook Air and Pro? I think they're going to run fine. Anything native to ARM is going to run great. And even the Intel stuff, like we found on the review I did initially, all the Intel software runs great on this thing, too. It's just incredibly good. Okay, so we are almost there. Chugging away here. We have less than a gigabyte left. All right, we're pretty much there now. Okay, it is installed. Let's see if it runs. It may not. And it's not running yet. Hang on a second. All right. It looks like it's the same thing we saw in the other ones. It just like starts and then stops. So what we could try to do is like dig into where it installs and see if maybe that might lead us to a better place. So let's go find the install directory. Where does it put that stuff? Steam apps. Common. No Man's Sky. Binaries. Try to run it directly, see what happens. Yeah, it's like never, it's for whatever reason, like Steam, I almost feel like maybe I should reinstall Steam later and try it that way. Try to run it as an administrator, see if that makes any difference. Nope. All right, let's try the compatibility stuff. Compatibility. Now, what's interesting here is that we don't have any emulation settings available to us on this app. Okay, let's see what happens. Test the program. Yeah, it's just conking out on us. I almost feel like I almost feel like, let's just try Windows 8 for the heck of it, that Steam has got is producing some of this problem. And I wonder if there's a setting in Steam somewhere that's causing all of this to happen for me. Let me just check one more thing here. In-game. Like, could it be launching in 30? I guess, well, Steam has always been a 32-bit app, right? There's no 64-bit version of Steam. But, well, I'm going to poke around with this a little bit more, do some research, and we'll figure it out. I've been going for 3 hours, longer than I thought I was going to go. Yeah, it is not even, like, I don't even think it's getting to the point where we're seeing the app even load. I can pull up the task manager, the program manager here, and no, that's not working now either, is it? Did we just lock it up? Control-Shift-Escape, there it goes. And we can go into more details here. Okay, so. Just looking to see if there's anything specific here. You know what we could even do? I wonder if there's like some settings and parallels that I'm missing. If there are any. There's a bunch of Mac stuff here. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything. All right, well, I'm going to keep poking around with this and see what I can uncover. Because if we go over to the screen here, just when we go to run the game directly, I don't even think it even shows up in the list of running apps. It just fails, doesn't even register. So something is like not detecting properly. So, all right. Well, I am going to experiment some more with this, And this was a fun activity, though, to get kind of a baseline as to what we can expect. So we've got a little bit more to do, but we will figure it out and see what works. And it could be DRM, it could be who knows what. But people have been running Steam games and saying they're working, and I have not been able to get the same experience on this thing. So I'm going to reinstall Steam and try a couple other things, and we will figure it out. I'm just looking through the rest of the comments here. So yeah. All right, everybody. I am going to call it a day, but before I do, I want to thank some people who contributed today. So let me get my list of contributors up here. Chris Allegretta, thank you for your contribution. Grayson Petty, thank you. Thomas Anfang, thank you. Mark Dell, thank you. And Netlux.TV, thank you all for your super chats today. And I thank you all for tuning in. And yeah, we'll be back on again in the future. Just make sure you follow me on YouTube and on Amazon. And when I go live, you'll get a notification and you'll see me just like this. So that's it. So it looks like I'm off the hook on cooking steaks tonight. So we're going to order those tacos. That's what we're going to do for dinner. A fun New Year's dinner. And we'll go from there. And I'll figure it out. And I'll get back to you with a video or another live stream. We'll see where it goes. All right, everybody. We're going to switch to my thank you for watching slate here. And I will talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.